I hit the button.
Okay. All right, then that's fine.
I think I watched 3 innings.
Well, edit one more than me.
Felt bad the Tampa players didn't get introduced.
Unbelievable. And then apparently when Franco was inserted into the game, the announcers didn't acknowledge it because he went to play short and nothing. That's according to Mark Topkin on Twitter. So that's as you know, Mark, that's a major screw up.
Well, the part is that the Seattle guys were introduced first.
Well, because they were going alphabetically.
And they walk out. You saw the Tampa players walk out a little more quickly than the other players walk. I mean, it was weird because I watched the whole intros. Wondered what the hell happened.
But to skip over, because, they're going alphabetically, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Texas, Toronto. Yep. So Paul has apparently adopted the Jim Nance. Okay. He's been pretty consistent now for a while with Hello Friends.
Yep.
So no David Sampson for the next 3 Tuesdays. We have Pat this week, next week. Then Pat is taking the week of, let's see, what's the dates? Week of the 24th off, last week of July.
Did he get a replacement for himself for that, or is he allowed to do that?
I'm impressed that he did it. He's going to be in Europe with one of the grandkids on a hockey thing. And he was thinking seriously about doing the show because the show would be at like 8 to midnight or 9 to 1. Okay. And so he could just do whatever he does during the day, and he could have done his show at night. And I was like, come on, Pat, take a week off. I said, you even got the Super Bowl this year. I said, you're going to work 7 days a week for 6 months, 7 months. And so he took the week off. Good for him. And then he'll come back, and apparently he lands on a Saturday or a Sunday, and he goes straight to Patriots camp. I think he goes straight to his training camps. So Coffin Ball, you're that into the Scottish Open, huh?
Are you getting any spots to fill in for him?
No. They will not let me do a show. I don't think so, because my guess is they've already booked it, and they haven't called me. I've done 5 shows in 11 months. I am
10 seconds.
I'm out.
Jerry, I'm out.
I'm out.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How's your week going? Let's get over the hump together, shall we? How the heck are you? We're Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Magic numbers are very doable, ladies and gentlemen. 45, 6.5 weeks away from week 0. 57 weeks tomorrow from week 1 of the college football season kicking off. And 57, 8 weeks tomorrow, the National Football League will get underway. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. I was trying to think when you're going through the magic numbers of, if we put a song underneath that, what would it be? What magic song? I had a bunch of different magic songs in my head, and they're all bad. None of them were good enough to apply to the magic numbers. They were cheesy and the wrong type of song for it. But I'm guessing our audience could find the proper song to put under the magic numbers.
So was it the 45 number that got you thinking about records?
I think that's what it was. Something got my head spinning, David.
Little 45 RPM there and you're trying to figure out, we could put a little something peppy, something snappy. Is that what you were looking for?
That's it.
Hey, the National League won an All-Star game. How about that?
They sure did. And it wasn't that exciting.
Well, they largely are not, because the pitching dominates. I mean, you bring in 8, 9, 10 pitchers. They're throwing gas, throwing their best stuff for an inning. I mean, that's tough to hit. Also, when you have a West Coast All-Star game, you get the whole shadows thing going midway through the game, makes it tougher to hit. I mean, it's not a hitter's park, in this case, Seattle. I mean, the over-under was 7.5. I mean, that screamed under.
I will say they need to mic up play. They do it on Sunday Night Baseball, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
The more players mic'd up, the better a baseball broadcast is. And it doesn't seem, I get if the playoffs come around that players aren't going to do it. I understand that. But in the regular season, it seems that players are willing to do it. And in the All-Star game, obviously, they don't care at all. It makes for a really nice television product.
Well, the players now are financially incentivized to put the microphones on and do interviews. Now, I don't know if they got paid by Major League Baseball or Fox for what they contributed in the All-Star game. But during the regular season, Mark, they actually get paid for doing the in-game stuff. I mean, that got negotiated in the new CBA. So, and it's funny with the money that they're making that, $5,000 would get them to, do an interview in between innings, but it's working. And it was, the couple of things that I saw, it was pretty neat. I mean, to have a pitcher mic'd while on the mound and pitching, I mean, that's kind of cool.
It's 2 years in a row they've done it, and it's been great. Maybe longer, but it's 2 years in a row I've noticed it, and I think that is phenomenal.
I mean, we love it in spring training when they'll mic up an outfielder, and the first one we remember was Mookie Betts like 5 years ago, and he's with the Red Sox, and he's having a conversation with Ravitch and Kirwan and the boys, and then a ball's hit to right center, and he goes, "Uh-oh, guys, gotta go." And it was fun.
And that's what it's supposed to be, by the way.
We've thought that there should be more microphones with golf, that when Fox was the first ones to really get the conversation between the caddies and the golfers. And then we said, listen, if they can interview NASCAR drivers on, caution laps, and they can interview crew chiefs while the race is going on, you mean to tell me you can't conduct an interview? And sure enough, CBS this year has, picked like one golfer a day on one hole, and they get them to agree to it beforehand. And usually it's a par 4 or 5 so that they have a nice walk in between shots, and they'll conduct an interview of some kind.
And they got extremely lucky with the club pro during the PGA of
right
picking him to mic up and all of a sudden he's in the tournament.
Yeah, Michael Block there, whose run is just about up. Like, he didn't qualify for the Open Championship, and I think he's, and he played the Canadian and whatever. I think he's back to being a club pro. I think his days of playing tour events for the rest of the year are over. We'll see him at next year's PGA. Nice run, though.
Nice run. And now the name escapes me of the kid that got a status in the last 2 weeks. It was the one fun thing about the Detroit tournament. And then last week, the kid, Monday qualifier, top 10s the Detroit tournament, gets him in the following week, and then makes the cut, which gives him status. Because there's not much else in these lower events to look for, David.
By the way, and I don't know how many people are familiar with him. We've had him on the show before. I was lucky enough to work with him a few times when he was at Fox, and then he went to the Golf Channel, and now he's a podcaster, and he does some play-by-play, whether it be NBC, ESPN, or what have you. Shane Bacon. He qualified for the U.S. Amateur yesterday. So he's broadcast the U.S. Amateur. He's actually handed the trophy out to the winner before, and now he's going to be in it. I mean, he qualified for the stroke play. He's one of like the 150 or so that try to play their way into match play. I think that's pretty cool. A broadcaster who's also, I think it's nice to know if you're a viewer that the guy broadcasting the golf, he can play a little bit. I don't know what's a better. We weren't intending to go down this road. We're kind of like Regis and Kelly and Kathy Lee. We just kind of show up and we wing these things. But so which would you prefer from a golf broadcast? Would you, because almost all golf broadcasts are done from a very elite, porch. Would you prefer that they broadcast it assuming that everybody is terrific? Or would you want them to do the broadcast from the 15 handicapper perspective, which is how I've always thought there should be more of that in the coverage, because you have far more 15, 18, 22 handicappers watching than you have scratch golfers.
But they're not watching in the eyes of, as someone who is a double-digit handicapper, I don't watch golf to get the perspective of how I play the game. I want the elite part of it. That's why I'm watching. These guys are the best in the world, and treat them as such.
Okay. Fair enough. But I just thought that was interesting. One of the guys that actually broadcast golf, Shane Bacon, qualified for the U.S. Amateur yesterday. So congrats to him. Hope to have him on the show. The U.S. Amateur's in about a month. Maybe we can get him on between now and then. But did you watch the All-Star game? And I don't mean you, Mark. I mean to our audience. Did you watch? If so, for how long? Did you enjoy it? Baseball having a bit of a renaissance year. Ratings are up. Attendance is up. Interest is up. You got the Texas Rangers are in first place. The Marlins have the second best record in the National League. The Reds are in first. The Diamondbacks are tied for first. The two best teams in the American League are in Tampa Bay and Baltimore. The Yankees would miss the playoffs right now, as would the Mets, Cardinals, and Padres. And for that matter, the Phillies may be a half a game behind the Giants, too. I think technically they're out this morning.
I will say this renaissance will come to a screeching halt if the playoffs start with all these teams that are in it. I mean, ratings are driven by big market teams in the postseason.
Are you insinuating that TCU playing Georgia was not as good for college football as Michigan playing Georgia? Is that what you were insinuating?
A bit. And also the college basketball tournament, while started out great, we lost a lot of the blue bloods early, and that doesn't bode well for ratings. It did great early on. It didn't do as well as the tournament went forward.
Right. UConn is fine, but San Diego State, Miami, FAU, you're going to have a few less eyeballs. No doubt about it. Let's be honest. Fox, Turner, ESPN. I mean, they want the Yankees in desperately. They desperately want the Yankees in, and they want them
to see Baltimore and Toronto fold, and see if the Red Sox could sneak in too. If you really put the gun to their head about what they would want,
so
they would want the Diamondbacks to fall apart in favor of the Giants. I mean, we know who they want.
Many potential poll questions. Will the Yankees make the playoffs? They're a game out. Two teams a game ahead of them are Toronto, who made the playoffs last year, who just missed the playoffs the year before that. They're pretty good. And Houston, defending World Series champions on a 9-year run here, cheating and otherwise.
Good to see them get booed. Even Dusty Baker got booed in Seattle.
I know. Well, you were on vacation, but there was a play over the weekend, right before the All-Star break. So there was an infield grounder, and I think it was a third baseman. And it's going to be a close play at first. And the throw is coming to first. And the Astros base runner is running right on the inside of the line. And he's going to be out by like a half a step. And as he's beginning his last stride, the first baseman begins to reach just a little bit for the ball. And the Astros base runner takes his left arm and slaps the first baseman's glove. Kind of an A-Rod to Veritek reference from 20 years ago. And, oh, my goodness, baseball Twitter was just like, see, another reason to hate the Astros. They're still trying to cheat. I will say the player did, after the game, go over and apologize to, I forget who they were playing. I think it was Seattle. Went over and apologized and said, I don't know what I was thinking there. That was Bush League. My bad. And the fielder didn't think he did anything wrong. He's like, really? I mean, I felt contact, but I just figured, I didn't realize you did that. But yes, they're still the villains, Mark.
It was interesting having to explain that to my daughter last night. She's become a Tampa Rays fan, and watching her guy, Randy Arozarena, get ready to start. And when they started booing the Houston players, she said, Dad, that's not very hospitable. Well, everybody hates Houston, honey.
All right. I have to ask a question here. Did she use the word hospitable?
100%.
Wow. 9, ladies and gentlemen, 9.
Miller and Moulton, hoping we'll be hospitable to you. Great show lined up. Back with more in a moment on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Wes, is that the YouTube app that keeps doing that, or the Twitch app, or the what? I mean, you're responding on YouTube, so you're the only one saying it. So I'm guessing it's a YouTube thing. I would suggest going to Twitch.
Do you mean, ooh, this is magic?
That's the one that was in my head, by the way, and it's such a bad song. You can do magic. You can
Oh,
do
no, that's different.
That's a different one?
That's a different one.
Desire magic. It's just awful.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, the Southwest Florida. Did you do whatever you're supposed to do to the app? The ESPN Southwest Florida app. We're on it. It's just having trouble. Can't do anything about that, Wes. Sorry.
Should he go to the iHeart?
1010 Money app or iHeart Radio app?
Yeah.
Go to the iHeart Radio app and try 1070 AM in Port Charlotte.
Or, and this is crazy, just listen to us on Twitch or YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, what a screw job he did to Paulina when he died. Oh my goodness. Rick Ocasek. I mean, they had divorced like a year earlier, but she then like stayed with him the final year of his life and took care of him and what have you. He died. He left her nothing. And she had to like leave the premises quickly.
Your Ghoul Pagula just choked like a dog.
Oh my God.
They just showed a stat that she's 0-6
in quarters in majors.
No one's ever done that. That's been a top 10 player.
Yeah, because there's 3 other players that went 0-7 in the quarters, but they weren't. She's only got like 2 career wins, which shows the fault of the rankings. I mean, it's like the golf rankings when certain golfers have been ranked where they've been ranked. I mean, oh goodness. Luke Donald was the number 1 ranked golfer in the world one time. It was like, are you serious? Luke Donald?
Luke Donald didn't even think he was the number 1.
Luke Donald's never been the number 1 golfer in England. Are you kidding?
Djokovic is ridiculous.
That Rublev guy was playing great. Too.
Yeah.
And then Djokovic took it to a gear, and Rublev was just looking across at him like, what the heck, dude?
Go Raiders. That is a fact right there.
It's the great ones that can turn it to a gear that others can't, just absolutely dominate.
Philly, do you play tennis?
Every time I've tried, I've sucked. And I don't have a partner. That's the thing about tennis. You need a partner. You need to play with someone that also is somewhat competent at
Mark. See, the kids these days, they don't know what it's
Go to
like to
garage
play against
doors.
the wall.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Good show lined up for you today. Adam Rittenberg of ESPN. He covers college football. We'll talk to him
What the hell
about
have you been covering?
not much going on, particularly for a guy whose base is the central part of the country. I think Chicago, in fact, and covers a lot of Big Ten. No, not much to talk about lately, but we'll try to do 10, 12, 15 minutes with him. Maybe Pat Fitzgerald and Northwestern will come up. And Pat Kirwan will join us at 8 o'clock. Seth Everett in a couple hours. Their weekly appearances here on Miller and Moulton, 45, 50, and 57 days away from the start of your football season, depending on when you believe it begins. Week 0, week 1 in college, or Lions and Chiefs in the NFL. Hey, did you watch any of the Senate subcommittee?
No, but I caught the highlights, David.
By the way, if you're the editor, which Felipe now, in his second job, Felipe is an editor. He works for Hearst Television in Southwest Florida, and he edits for their newscasts, for 2 or 3 of them a night. And so, boy, editing together subcommittee highlights.
Oh,
This isn't like RBI double in the gap to take the lead. I mean, that's easy. That's obvious. Tied at 2. This hit put them on top. They would go on to win. It's pretty easy. Edit together some subcommittee highlights. Woo!
Not only that, but I have no idea who the hell anyone is.
well, there was a highlight, though, when the question was asked how much money was talked about.
Right.
And they went with kind of backed off. Give us an estimate. What are the figures in total? North of $1 billion.
Yeah.
That's a highlight, David.
That's true. That's true. Even if you have to look up who said it. Okay. That's true. There were some other highlights. I mean, the documents that were released, they showed a few things. How much PGA Tour really wants to get rid of Greg Norman. Like, that's a surprise. How about the LIV people saying, listen, if we want to do this alliance thing, how about we give Tiger and Rory a team? And they don't even have to play all the events. They could play like 8 or 10 of them.
I know it's not ever going to happen, but to see Tiger and or Rory on a live course in shorts with their team, the TWs or the Fighting Irishmen, whatever it is they want to call them, David, I would love to see that.
So, I mean, there is no alliance yet. There are no details for the devil to, emerge from yet. I mean, that's the joke of this whole thing. But, I don't know. It wasn't what I had hoped. There was some dirt there. It was interesting that apparently, we were led to believe that the first communication happened, in mid to late April, and that this all came together in like 7 weeks. No, actually, there was, kind of reaching out, going all the way back to December, actually. And then they backed off for a little while. And then by April, apparently, somebody from the Saudi side just used the same intermediary and said, listen, we're getting close to the point of no return. You may just want to let your PGA Tour people know, okay? If they're thinking about it at all, now's the time to pick up the phone. Because if we get a little more down the road here, it's all-out war, and we're going to spend whatever it takes. And that apparently was what got them to go, oh, so you mean the money you've spent right now is not enough? Huh. We'll get back to you.
It is tough to fight against a group that has unlimited cash.
We talked about it going back over a year. This is the first time in the history of at least American sport in which the league that's trying to rise up and challenge the establishment has so much more money than the establishment. What has been the demise of damn near every single upstart league in America?
Cash.
WHA ran out of money, although it wasn't good for either side, but they were running out of money. World Football League ran out of money quickly. USFL, ABA.
And even the spring football leagues that you've loved so much have tried to do this, and every time they've run out of funding. So now a league comes in that has more money than the league that it was fighting.
So, you know what is interesting is, Rory's on the board, and Rory's involved in all of this too. And he knows everybody. Hell, he played golf with the Piff guy a couple years ago. Says he's a nice guy. Remember, Rory's won over in Saudi. I mean, the DP World Tour Championships are in Saudi Arabia. He's won that thing twice, I think. So I will say Rory's all over this. I see his name more than any other golfer. But I love the committee memo in which they're discussing, the PGA Tour wanted nothing to do. And then they said it is unclear why they changed their mind. What do you mean it's unclear why they changed their mind?
They looked at their bank account. It was really simple why they changed their mind. They saw their coffers deplenished quickly. They knew how much longer it was going to take and how much more money that Piff had than they did.
So the PGA Tour apparently rejected the idea of Woods and McIlroy owning LIV golf teams. Now, we're never going to get the truth. I mean, Tiger has a long-standing history of, having a adverse relationship with the truth. Even now, during this stage of his life, in which he seems much more open than he was in the first 35 to 40 years of his life. So we're never going to get the truth out of Tiger. I don't believe so. But I'll be curious as to how many times that, Tiger was made aware of some of the stuff that was going on. Or was he really completely blindsided at 10 a.m. on CNBC in mid-June? Did you see the one document, though? They went through hey, we're going to make the announcement. Okay. And first off, they said, listen, we'll go. And they asked for a specific person on CNBC. They said she does the Puff interviews with Buffett. I mean, it was right there, Puff. That's who they asked for. They didn't get her. They got somebody else. But did you see the list of how they were going to inform everybody? Okay, the players were last. All right, Doug Ferguson of the AP was going to get a phone call at around 8:30 in the morning. They went on CNBC at 10 o'clock. AP writer Doug Ferguson, they were going to alert 3 members of the worldwide media. He was the one in the States that was getting the phone call. Rory and Tiger were getting separate calls. They were the only 2 players, Mark, getting calls. Tiger, Rory. They were in the tidbits. And then at the bottom, it was well, I guess we got to let the tour know.
Well, sooner or later, you got to get to the players. They're not the biggest part of the deal. Well, not if David, I think we've learned if the money's there, they'll play. Miller and Moulton, the starting 5 is next right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, here's the thing, T. Mickey. The Gold Cup is always set up. I feel like they always set it up where the United States and Mexico meets in the final. But now it would be interesting to face Jamaica instead. We got to beat Panama first.
Well, and we're not playing our regulars, are we?
No. There's like maybe 2 starters, I think, that are playing. We'll say that match on Sunday night was unbelievable. United States scores, makes it 1-0 in the 87th minute.
Look, we got it, Felipe. We got it. Then they tied it. Then they took the lead. Then we tied it. Then we won in penalties. Back to you. By the way, U.S. Women's Open did not do well.
No,
Only drew like 1.4 million on average.
you didn't have no Rosang. There's no
Corda, no Lexi. No. Even though you had an American win it.
Yeah, but no one had heard of her either.
Nope.
I mean, when I'm looking at that, and I don't follow it that closely, I'm looking at the leaderboard going, who in the hell is on this leaderboard?
Right.
I didn't want to get up today. Double snooze.
I was so tired last night that I fell asleep without having anything set. Woke up in a panic in the middle of the night. Like, then set the alarm, hooked up to the machine, and went back to bed.
Oh, so you went down without the machine, huh?
Went down without the machine.
You'll love this since we both use them. Yours is different than mine, but I, while on vacation, put the machine on, but didn't put everything on my face. Never hit the button to turn it on. I woke up at like 4 a.m. I'm like, what the? Not here.
You're like, oh, wow, this is better.
No, David and I both have CPAP machines. We both have sleep apnea.
Apparently, I stopped breathing 40 times an hour when I tested. Every minute and a half, I stopped breathing. I go, wow.
Mine was only 8. Mine was, I'm nothing compared to you.
Yeah. And I figured 40 times an hour was a lot. And they were like, nah, that's moderate. I'm like, really? Every minute and a half? Stop breathing? Chance to die? Nah. It's not. A scale 1 to 10. It's about a 5. Oh, okay. Good to know. Well, I've had the machine now for, geez. I mean, we were still working there.
My brother-in-law, we're getting dropped off at where we're staying in Deep Creeks. We didn't stay at the cottage. There wasn't room. We were staying in a guest house. And he's helping me grab the bags, and he saw that. He goes, "Oh, you too, huh, bro?" I'm like, yep.
8 years ambient. I got the sleep machine the week that we dropped our daughter off at college.
Oh, you've had it that long?
Yeah, 8 years.
But you're still you are according to the New York Post in a sleep divorce. You've been in a sleep divorce for many years.
Well, we were in a yes. And it wasn't because of snoring. It was just I worked nights and she, went to bed early. I wanted to watch TV. I watched it in the living room. The noise would have kept them up on their side, so I'd watch it in the bedroom. So I had my own room.
10 seconds.
The TV's like a sleep machine for me. If I lay down and put that TV on, it's gonzo.
Over. Yeah, I mean, I'm good.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour. Adam Rittenberg of ESPN will join us in 1 hour. Talk a little Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern. Where does everybody go from here? And, we may touch upon a couple of other things while we have them. Pat Kirwan leads off our 8 o'clock hour. Seth Everett bookends our 8 o'clock hour. Right now, however, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
He is very, very quick with the fingers this morning. See, it's that editing. It's that second job. All right. He's constantly working with his fingertips, in points, out points. Now that he's in the TV world, his hands, Mark, they're sharp. They're ready to go. Problem is he's now working 2 jobs. I mean, we had trouble keeping him awake before. Now, whew.
He's young and strong. He should be able to handle this.
Okay. All right. We'll see. The National League, they're young. They're strong. They were just getting their butts kicked by the American League. They had only won 3 of the last 25 All-Star games. They'd lost 9 in a row. They hadn't won one since 2012. So when they were trailing 2-1 in the 8th yesterday, the guys on the bench were like, hey, can we get one hit? Every 11 years, can we get one key hit? And Elias Diaz, the Rockies catcher, with a 2-run homer in the 8th. National League won it 3-2. But the Marlins, Luis Arraez started at second, went 2 for 2, had an RBI single. Randy Arozarena had a hit. Hell, Andy Diaz homered in the second to give the American League a 1-0 lead. Wander Franco got in the game, went 0 for 1. Jorge Soler went in the game, went 0 for 1. But, man, were the Rays disrespected before the game yesterday.
Oh, they were put on the pay no mind list, David.
I mean, how many times have we all watched the All-Star game? It's the introductions. How do you screw up the introductions? Fox and Major League Baseball screwed up the introductions.
This whole alphabetical thing, see, Tampa comes right after Seattle, the host team. And when Seattle's reserves were announced, they spent all the time with Seattle's reserves and went right to Texas, skipping Tampa Bay.
Right. Hey, there's a team in between Seattle and Texas. And we don't just mean in the standings. That team's Houston. But, okay, come on now. So, Wander Franco and Shane McClanahan there, the reserves for the Rays.
Totally dissed.
Totally. And then when Franco gets put into the game as a defensive replacement, they don't show him and talk about him. They were too busy talking about something else. Man, only the best record in the American League, boys. By the way, you guys better get used to him. You're going to be showing them a lot in October. Oh, I'll tell you.
Hopefully, that should be enough just to honk them off to get ready for the second half.
Yeah, no respect at all.
And they've got to go back to wearing their own uniforms.
Thank you.
You weren't a fan of those jerseys, were you?
They're awful. The jerseys were awful. But all right, I watched the entire introductions. I like the introductions of the All-Star game. Sat with my daughter and watched the entire thing. The little kids come out in American Net. Now, those kids should have all been in Seattle jerseys in Seattle. That's the home team. That's who you're honoring. That's why they host the game. And then, for a lot of us, we watch our team in baseball. And actually, for most of us, for most of the people watching last night, 90% of the baseball that they watch is their own team. Baseball ratings in individual markets are spectacular. For most teams, they're either the number 1 or number 2 rated product in their market. They don't watch anyone else. So getting used and trying to identify the players, and you got to look at a hat or the corner of their jersey to see what team they play for, it should be obvious at all times who the players are and who they play for. That's the point of this. It's a bad look.
Now everyone's off till Friday. I'm glad they've made this change in recent years because there used to be a handful of teams that played games on Thursday night. And it's kind of like, well, what kind of a break is that? So Marlins are in Baltimore on Friday. Rays are in Kansas City. And I'm not going to say to start the second half of the season because the season's already 60% complete. College football news. Northwestern has let Pat Fitzgerald and his attorney know that, well, you got fired for cause. Now, Northwestern is yet to say whether or not they're going to pay him, but usually when you fire someone for cause, you then don't want to pay the remaining amount left on the contract, which in this case, Mark, is only $42 million.
I understand. Northwestern has it. They will try to come to some sort of agreement on pay to keep those documents from getting out.
Here's Northwestern's problem, though, and Fitzgerald's attorney, and we'll talk to Adam Rittenberg about it in less than an hour. Fitzgerald's attorney made sure to publicly say yesterday, listen, this just ain't about the $42 million. You are severely harming my client's ability to work beyond the current contract. He's only 48 years old. So even if he were to have fulfilled this contract, that would have taken him into his mid-50s. In theory, he's coaching for another 10 years. Do the math. So Fitzgerald's attorney has already indicated publicly, now we've yet to file suit, but if we do, we're not just looking for the $42 million. We're talking about damage to our client and future earnings. Mark, that quickly becomes about a $100 million suit. And that's clearly Fitzgerald's attorney letting Northwestern know, listen, you want this to go away quietly, you pay us the $42 million. You just cut us the check and we go away. Mark, let me ask you this. You're Fitzgerald, and we could talk about this much more next hour, but you're Fitzgerald. I'm Northwestern. I say, I'll give you the money. You can never speak about all of this ever again. Which means you have to live with whatever the court of public opinion is right now. You can't say, I didn't do anything wrong, or I didn't know. You can't say that. And there's not a presser of you last Friday saying it. There's a statement from you saying it. There's not a presser on Monday night of you saying it. It was said, whatever you said was behind closed doors to the players. Mark, if you're Fitzgerald, you want to work again. I'm Northwestern. I offer you the $42 million. You can never utter a syllable about this publicly, or you owe me $42 million. Would you accept it?
Begrudgingly, I would. It's so much damn money, David. I couldn't turn it down.
Okay.
Would you?
Mark, I got a big mouth.
I know you do. And so do I, David.
I probably wouldn't for this reason. One, I've already made decent money. Now, do I have enough to retire on? I should. And knowing the way my wife and I live, we would have enough to retire on. Now, maybe in their case, they have 2 kids. Maybe our kids aren't set up as well as I wanted. But here's my thing. Mark, you know me. Fitzgerald clearly believes he didn't do enough wrong. And if I felt the way he does, I would want to be able to publicly come forward and go, yeah, I don't know. You could say I should have known or what have you. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't know. Okay. Don't try to make me out to be some of the monsters that are out there. I'm not that guy. So no, I would not accept it if I couldn't speak, which doesn't surprise you at all, does it?
Not a bit.
Right. The NBA announced 2 rule changes for next year. They had talked about this a week or so ago. So the coaches are going to get a second challenge if they get the first one right. And that in-game flopping penalty is going to happen. By the way, they do not have to stop the game in order to enact it. So like you could be going up and down and there's a play there, no fouls called. And they decide when there's a stoppage, they're going to take a look at it. And if they think you flopped, they're going to assess you a technical foul, which is not a personal foul, by the way, and not a change of possession. So the players approved this, by the way.
Good.
Wimbledon, women's top seed Swiatek ousted by Svitolina 6-2 in the third, which opened up the side of the draw for American Jessica Pegula. She's up 4-1 in the third set. She's going to go to the semis, and she choked like a lost the last 5 games, lost 6-4 in the third. She's 0-6 in major quarterfinals, even though she's ranked 4th in the world. How do you get to 4th in the world
when you can't get to the Final Four?
When you in a major ever, and you're 29. Later today, Madison Keys is taking on the 2 seed Sabalenka. She's the last American woman left in the tournament. That's in the quarters. Djokovic lost his first set and then destroyed the 7 seed, like 1-4-2. He advanced to the semis where he's going to take on Italy's Yannick Sinner. The top seed Alcaraz, he's in action today against American Chris Eubanks, who's the last American male left, and they're in the quarters. Or excuse me, Alcaraz in action today. Eubanks is taking on the 3rd seed Medvedev in the quarters. My bad. If they both win, they'd face each other in the semis. So Djokovic's facing the 8 seed from Italy in the semis. And he's got 2 days of rest before that match. I think it's fair to say Djokovic's going to be in the final.
I think it's fair to say he doesn't lose a set in the semis.
Hockey. Rangers signed 23-year-old defenseman Keandre Miller. He's one of those players, you can steal a restricted free agent away from a team in hockey. Very few teams do it. You usually have to make some big offer, put some funky little clause, but he was one of those players that they thought, I could see a team making one of those funky offers trying to steal this guy away from the Rangers, who don't have a lot of cap room. Rangers were able to keep him in the fold 2 years, a little less than $4 million a year. He'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2 years, and he'll make about $9 million a year then. And at 9 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So a tough road for the Americans at Wimbledon today. Madison Keys is facing the 2 seed, and Eubanks is facing the 3 seed. Both trying to get to the semis. So there.
Eubanks playing with house money, however.
No doubt. No doubt. Although he's not, like 21 years old. He's 27. In fact, Medvedev, the third seed who he's playing, is the same age as him. He beat Tsitsipas in the round of 16. He's 2 years younger than Eubanks.
I'm not saying from an age standpoint, but he came out of nowhere. Nothing was expected from him in this tournament. So everything he has far exceeded his expectations, I guess would be a better way of putting it.
No doubt. No doubt. That's if those of you, the 9 of you that still pay attention to tennis. It's Wimbledon after all. In that sport, it's kind of a big deal. That's all we're saying.
You're an Open fan before you're a Wimbledon fan, though, aren't you?
Well, I went to it a few times, like you went to Wimbledon.
Right.
Okay. And so you got to experience, and not only that, you went on just a magical year, and you were there for like semifinal, Friday. And I mean, you were watching Steffi and Martina and McEnroe and Becker and Edberg. I mean, you were there literally a glorious day.
No, we got lucky. I had tickets before we had set this up before I traveled to England for the summer. And it just so happened because of rain, it was the first time in forever that the men's and women's finals were on the same day. So I got to watch Martina and Steffi and Boris Becker and Stefan Edberg in the men's final back to back. You're right. It was a magical day at Wimbledon.
Yeah.
And got into the semis to see Edberg take care of McEnroe for the final set of that after a rain delay.
That's not bad. You're rattling off some names there. You sound like Larry King when he used to host his show and he'd start name dropping.
Well, I got to yell, "Come on, John. Come on, John." That was it for me. That's all that I needed.
That's all you wanted, right? It's worth the trip right there.
Exactly. Terrific show lined up for you today. Adam Rittenberg will join us in about 40 minutes' time. Pat Kirwan and Seth Everett in the 8 o'clock hour. The text line is open at 21,000 right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Yeah, I was just catching a little thing in the post there that Rauchman's sister was the big star of the home run derby. They had her on camera so much, I don't know how they never identified, unless I missed it. They never identified her as girlfriend or sister. You know, she's there with mom, and I'm like, she's super cute. Is that his sister? Is that his girlfriend? I think it's his sister, but one of you could tell me, because she was dancing and having a ball, and I mean, she was cute. She's like 22, 23 years old. She's a good-looking kid. But they never bothered to say who she was. I thought that was a poor job of television. I don't know who the spotter was, David, but he missed.
It's important. And believe me, you can't get it wrong. You can't get it wrong.
T. Mickey, thanks for the follow. I appreciate your love of the Gold Cup, but quite frankly, Miller and Moulton don't really give a rip of how the suspension of Cole and who?
Miazga. Right. Especially since we're not playing our A team. I mean, does it really matter if our B team gets beat? I will say, we're actually looking like we can play soccer for like legitimately play soccer. Like we look like we have some skill. We're not just this pesky team that plays hard, you know, that has either a really good goalie or a Landon Donovan. No, we actually look like we can play soccer for like maybe the first time ever. Now, we don't look like we can play soccer like Brazil or Argentina or France, but we look like we could, I don't know, make a quarters, which we've only done once before.
Well, I will say the guy who picked us over the other two countries had that goal.
Yeah. Right. In Vegas. I mean, that was a goal scorer's
goal. That was
yeah.
that. I looked at that and went, well,
right.
Felipe, remind me to turn the AC down across the hall at the end of the show if you can think of it. But what a difference it just made. The ice box just doesn't feel so icy.
T. Mickey, unfortunately, we were ranked in the top 10 one time in the World Soccer rankings. It was laughable. What we're saying now is that wherever we're ranked, it might, based on our skill, be legitimate.
Yeah, T. Mickey, we're ranked like Notre Dame is in football.
Right.
10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Let's get over it together, shall we? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Anna Rittenberg covers college football for ESPN. Will join us in about 35 minutes' time. Pat Kirwan, 1 hour from now. We'll wrap things up with our weekly conversation with Seth Everett in a little more than 90 minutes' time. Mark, there's a lot of things that we don't have in common with Zion Williamson, but did you hear what he said yesterday?
Heard most of it, yes.
Yeah, he and I don't know if all of us, if really any of us can relate. I mean, how many of us do we think have, quote, money, unquote? We all have definitions of, how you doing? Oh, I got money. Oh,
no one speaking into a microphone on this show has money.
Or has ever had it.
No,
at no point in time, even, not even like the day after we got married. Like, that's probably the most money either one of us has ever had. So Zion Williamson was asked yesterday, about, hey, your conditioning and, you got to drop a few pounds. He's like, yeah, I do. Well,
$33. That's what I got.
Oh, okay. When I'm done, I'll go find, it's right over here. I'll add it up. I'm pretty sure it's less than 50. So anyway, Zion Williamson came to the conclusion, Mark, that, and I'm quoting, dieting is hard when you have money, unquote.
Dieting is hard when you don't have money.
Apparently it's easier. Now, I will say, in theory, if you don't have money, right, you can afford less food, right?
Right. That's very true. But I will say, I guess, define money. Zion and I have probably similar definitions of having money. I've got enough money to eat. I guess I have too much money to really diet, David.
By the way, I am loaded. I have $57. Wow, I've got money.
You know what's hard for you to do? Diet.
Just today, anyway. There's no way I'm dieting today. I'm loaded. So I just wanted to get that off my chest. Not that I had $57. I didn't realize I had $57 until Mark went through his wallet and had 33. I mean, and let me tell you, Miller and Moulton are loaded. Combined, we have $90 on us. Wow. I'm shocked and a little impressed. But, I just wanted to discuss this. Once again, I mean, these guys are making 20, 30, 40, 50, soon 60 million a year. Mark, it's going to be tough to relate, but apparently we also can't relate because, listen, dieting for us is easy. Try being them. Having trainers, constant access to free weight rooms and exercise equipment.
Enough money where you could actually hire a chef to cook meals for you 3 times a day.
Hell,
instead of hiring, never mind.
No, but Felipe, I think they have so much money, they can actually hire someone to eat for me. Somehow, some way we figure it out.
I edited 3 jokes out of my head right there, Felipe. I just want to let you know. But I think you and David were talking about Zion eating 2 completely different things.
Oh, boy. Hey, now.
Yeah, going to stay away from that. There's no need, okay, to head to Nolans when we're talking about this. I'm just talking about the weight room. So anyway, Mark, apparently, it's what I'm going to take out of the show today. I'd be skinnier. In fact, that's going to be my line going forward. Yeah, you still got a few pounds to drop. Well, it's tough to diet when you've got money.
It's actually really easy to diet at any point. It's a matter of willpower, Zion, and you apparently have none with food, women, or anything else in life. You are a glutton, and there's part of me that's impressed by that.
By the way, a glutton who can pull off a 360 windmill dunk. It blows my mind that he can jump that high with that much weight. I mean, he's basically the size of Booger McFarland.
Listen, Zion has a decision to make here in the next year or so. Is he going to be Charles Barkley or is he going to be Oliver Miller? Because Oliver Miller was a very talented player coming out of college, but Oliver didn't have any willpower. And Oliver let himself get fat, and he basically slowly ate his way out of the league. And Barkley and Miller were teammates in Phoenix. And there was a funny story of practice one day. This is when, Barkley didn't let himself get out of hand until really his final year in Houston. Even though in college, and he got the nickname the round mound of rebound. But Charles was actually in shape his whole career. In his final year in Houston, he admitted, I should have retired. I wasn't into it. I got fat. I was bad. But Barkley's a star in Phoenix, and they're a contender to win the title, but they're struggling on the boards. And their head coach, Paul Westfall's like, we got to rebound better. Oliver, that's on you. You've got to rebound better. And Barkley at practice says, Coach, if you put a quarter pounder on the rim, I'll bet I'll get 12 of them. Barkley was Draymond long before Draymond. Anyway. But so, Mark, I just wanted, you to understand, because at times you get down on yourself, even though, Mark, you're not fat at all. You've never been fat. Occasionally, Mark, you have a week, you'll gain a few pounds, and you're like, I get it.
I love hanging out with you.
Yeah, because I'm fat.
I feel so good
Yes,
about my
so
midsection.
young. Yes. Mark, occasionally you get to the point in which it's like, you could maybe next 7 to 10 days, you should start behaving yourself a little bit. That's it. That's really all you get to. You're fine. You got 4 gray hairs. You still got a full head of hair. Okay. You're keeping it together pretty damn well. Zion, on the other hand, not so much. But he has an excuse, Mark. He's got too much damn money.
I have a great Stephen A. snippet about Zion.
He's fat. You understand? He's got bigger breasts than most women.
Well, Stephen A.'s got more money than most women. Hell, he's got more money than you. And that's saying something.
That is saying something.
So I just thought, during the off season, sometimes things slip through our cracks. I just wanted everybody to know there's a reason why Zion is fat. He's got money.
And he's got a lot of cracks. With that much weight, there's a crack everywhere in that guy.
And this was a joke from the moment that he got drafted. Living in New Orleans cannot help. It cannot help.
Okay, in all honesty, as a fat person, all right, Mark, where do you think I could live where all of a sudden I'd become skinnier? I'm just curious. I'll hang up and listen.
San Francisco, and you're not allowed to have a car. If I make you walk those hills for a couple of years, you might lose some weight.
So, okay.
Because, like I just came back from DC, and DC is apparently one of the fittest cities in our country. And you see it with everybody running in the mornings. First off, quick tangent. Have you ever seen anybody look happy while they're running?
Well, they're grinding.
It's not what I asked, Felipe. Once again, have you ever seen anybody out running when they look happy?
No.
They look miserable. Every single person who runs looks miserable.
I think, by the way, your face can speak volumes. I think a runner's face is saying, they tell me by doing this, I'm going to live longer, but I'm not so sure.
Exactly. So I don't think they're, yeah, you're right. New Orleans, of all the cities to pick from to try to be skinny, and New Orleans is a tough city to do so.
Well, hell, remember the NFL facility grades that came out after the season came out?
Right.
After the season finished. The Saints were dead last in nutrition. Now, I don't know if that correlates with the NBA team in New Orleans, but dead last. They got an F.
I think they have the same owner. I think the owner of the Saints, didn't the Benson family? Okay. Didn't they buy the Pelicans to save them, to keep them in New Orleans? Now, after the old man died, I don't know if she divested herself of the Pelicans, but I know at one point in time they had the same ownership. Well, I mean, listen, I have to admit, I love me my jambalaya.
Little etouffees, nothing wrong with that either, David. A lot of creams, a lot of butter, a lot of sauces in New Orleans. I get it.
That's why it's a great city.
But it doesn't mean that he wouldn't eat like he was fat at Duke.
Right.
He was 281 at Duke.
He was fat at Duke.
He's 300 pounds now.
He's missed far more games than he's played. And
Correct.
It's not close.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
By the way, could he play in the NFL tomorrow?
No.
He's fat.
He's not fast enough. Listen, his only chance would be to continue to eat, and we'll put him on the offensive line, okay, and give him a couple years to make him a lineman. But, thought that he'll be like a tight end or something, that's ridiculous.
No, not a tight end. I'm saying like lineman.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. If he wants to commit a couple years to it, and hell, we'll even say to him, listen, I know this basketball thing will earn you a lot more money, but you could eat to your heart's content and go to the NFL. Which would you rather have it be?
Do you want to be a nose guard? Plug the hole.
So I just thought, to all of you out there, all right, first off, we all have our own definitions of money. Do you have money? If so, you're allowed to put on a few pounds, apparently, according to that noted 21st century philosopher, Zion Williamson. It's tough to diet when you have money. Oh.
Trying to think if I know of the people that I know that I think that I would say have money.
Right.
Versus the rest of the people I know.
Right.
On average, who's fatter? And I would say the people without money are fatter than the people I know that I would say are the people I know with money.
I'm totally with you. Yeah.
The with money people are always in better shape. Slightly taller and look better. The rest of us, we struggle.
Right.
Well, minus the slightly taller part. I mean, David Sampson. I mean, he can run 16 marathons in 1 year, it seems.
Next time I see Aikman, I'm going to go, let me tell you, you look good, especially considering what Zion Williamson said, which is it's tough to diet when you have money. Troy, you got any money?
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I was talking about you earlier. when they booed the Houston players, and you're like, that's not very hospitable. That's what you said. What'd you say exactly? What did you say? Fine.
I did not realize this at the Savannah Bananas game. If the fan catches a foul ball, it's an
Out.
out.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's like their biggest rule.
So apparently they won. They won their game last night. Guy at the plate hits a line drive down the third base line, scorching into the seats, and a fan there had a glove and snared it. And you see the guy at the plate damn near throw his bat in disgust.
Was that you?
That was me.
Okay, make sure you don't do that when we're on the air. You have a habit of doing that.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour. Adam Rittenberg of ESPN to join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time. Pat Kirwan at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Talk all things NFL. Next week, there will be players in helmets, shoulder pads, and uniforms at NFL training camps. No, really. Like when they show up, they'll be saying, yes, practice starts at 9. Let's go. Time to go to work. So for some of you, you don't have to wait 45, 50, and 57 more days. Those are the magic numbers. 45 days to week 0, 50 to week 1 of the college football season, 57 until Lions and Chiefs kick things off.
All doable numbers. The text line is open at 21,000-21,000. If you've never texted the show before, FSN Radio is the keyword. FSN Radio, all one word. Text that to 21,000. Then you can text as little or as much as you would like.
We threw this out there yesterday, and I just, this is something I think, because, the audience in the summer is, it's down because people are vacationing. Also, with there being, no school for kids, there's a few less people in the car and all that. So the summer audience is a little down. So,
don't worry, school will start probably next week around here. Don't kid yourself. They don't get much time off in Florida, David.
No, that is true. It's a Florida summer, and so we're going to go back to school a month before the rest of the country. But so we may throw some things out there, and you're like, well, you threw that out there the other day. Yeah, well, because some people may not have heard it, but do want to, with the PGA Tour and LIV Senate subcommittee yesterday. To us, the big issue coming out of this is the foreign investment money. And we know the golf world is going to accept this. I mean, we know. Mark and I can already tell from the people in our life who were big PGA Tour people who got mad at us because we kept an open mind about LIV. Because we just thought that golfers should have the right to play wherever they want. They're golfers. They're not contract employees. And if you're not going to give them a contract, then they should be able to play wherever they want. And we took a lot of heat for that over the last year and a half. And it's funny how many of you are now like, oh, no, it's not my cup of tea, but no, I'll be fine with it. I'm going to keep watching.
Well, we'll have to see how this all plays out. We don't know the details yet.
Right. Well, what we know, though, is that the foreign investment money is coming. I mean, they're already going to buy 5% in the Capitals and the Wizards there. And the NBA did come out yesterday, though, and reiterate, we're never going to allow them to have majority ownership in a team. But we'll let them have up to 20%. And we might be willing to go to 30% one day. And remember, with these teams all being valued in the billions, I mean, it's tough to find people to invest the necessary money to buy percentages. Like when Brady bought in on the Raiders, we were all doing the math. Let's just say the Raiders are a $5 billion franchise. 1%, do the math. That's $50 million. Now, Tom's got a lot of money, even though he just went through a divorce, but he did lose about $30 million on the crypto. I mean, does Tom Brady have $50 million cash? Maybe. But that's some coin to buy 1%. So we brought up, you're going to be okay when foreign investment wants to buy your college, or at least their athletic department. You're going to be okay? And then we brought up South Florida. If I were the Saudis, I would buy a group of 5 athletic department that I think should be doing better than it is. And I think I could get them to win very quickly.
Or at least, if not should be doing better than it is, has the potential to be a breakout team.
Right.
And we very quickly listed the teams that we think are San Diego State, South Florida, Boise. The one we didn't talk about, the one that I thought, we've got a buddy that works there, is Texas San Antonio. A school like that, where you've got thick recruiting that doesn't have money. that would be apt to say yes more quickly. I don't believe Power 5 schools are going to say yes quickly.
So just curious, are you going to be okay when some foreign money, wherever it comes from, Middle East, China, wherever it comes from, you going to be okay when they look around and go, instead of having to come up with 5% of the Orlando Magic, because, say the Magic probably valued it, close to $2 billion? I mean, it shouldn't be, but we'll just say the Magic are $2 billion on the open market. Oh, 5% is $100 million. How far do you think $100 million could go in South Florida?
When ADs and coaches are out there saying for another $5,000, they don't care what facilities are, the players will go anywhere.
No. We'll give you $100 million. Buy all the players you want. We don't care. Women's hoops, don't care. Softball, don't care. Honestly, here's $100 million. Call us when you need more. So 21,000. Just because it's going to happen. There's at least going to be an offer made at some point in the next 2 years. We will find out that a school has been approached by a foreign entity in which they said, we'll bankroll you. We'll make you as good as you want to be. Just remember, we got to get a little credit, though. Signage and also, occasionally the shout out.
Because it's happened already in F1. It's happened in soccer, in the Premier League, with them buying teams. But now they're bringing players back to Saudi Arabia for their league. And it's not just Ronaldo. They just signed a couple of younger players who are in their prime to come play for these teams. There's only so many things they can buy over in Europe before they start coming to the States.
They're buying golf, and they're about to buy tennis. So why would they stop there?
$21,000 is the number on our text line. How would you feel if they bought into your team, Miller and Moulton? Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K. Felipe, what do you have for us?
Well, once again, not much sports going on this time of the year, but we had an all-star game last night. That was pretty interesting, actually. The National League won for the first time in 10 all-star games, thanks to the bat of the Colorado Rockies, Elias Diaz, in the top of the 8th inning.
Swing and a high fly ball, left field. That one back. That one way back there. Gone! Elias Diaz, a home run. And the National League has taken a 3-2 lead as he blasts that one out to left.
Elias Diaz, your all-star game MVP. 1 home run, 2 RBIs. I think that should do it. I almost went tennis because the number 1 women's tennis player in the world, Iga Swiatek, was upset yesterday by a young Ukrainian by the name of Alina Svitolina, and she had an amazing quote on the stage after she completed her upset.
Well, first of all, I'm gonna have a beer, probably. It was not easy today to play against Iga, obviously. She's world number 1. She's always fighting, but today was an unbelievable match, and I'm really happy I could win this one.
I'm going to go get a beer.
Yeah.
Beat the number 1 player in the world.
Asked how you're going to celebrate. That's how you celebrate, with a beer. Good for her.
She, 9 months after having her first child, she came back. This is her first big tournament. And Svitolina, who's been a semifinalist before. So, nice. So, Felipe, with the Clutch Vodka play of the day and an appetizer.
Right. The Clutch Vodka quote of the day as well. That's how we roll. Adam Rittenberg coming up in a matter of 8 or so minutes. Pat Kirwan and Seth Everett to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. We are so happy that you have joined us right here on Miller and Moulton. Where else but the Florida Sports Network? Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I have not seen it that way, David, but I bounced him out anyhow.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Not that there's anything we can do. I'm just,
The Diaz home run is the sixth player with a go-ahead home run while trailing in the eighth inning or later of an All-Star game. The last National League player to do so was
Lee Mazzilli.
It's a good guess because I know you were going with guy. I tried to throw it right in your wheelhouse, but Michael
Jack Schmidt.
81.
First off, the fact he was still in the game in the eighth inning.
Right.
Because he was starting at third.
Well, I mean, you watched a bad team like I did. Your reserves didn't always. You watched the game just to see if they got in.
Hell, Lee Mazzilli was a defensive replacement in center field one year in the ninth. That was his All-Star game appearance. Stearns would come in and catch the ninth. I mean, it was Johnny Bench and Gary Carter.
I mean, like the Tigers until the 84 breakout season, then all of a sudden you pretty much had Parrish, Trammell, Whitaker were pretty regulars. You're pretty much regulars.
But, Bench would get 2 at-bats. Carter would get 2 at-bats. I mean, honestly, John Stearns was lucky if they in the 9th inning, they let him catch. I think it was the All-Star game in 79 in Seattle. Mazzilli, I believe, pinched hit late, 8th or 9th inning, singled, scored, and then stayed in the game in the 9th defensively. It was like, wow, you played a lot.
No, because he didn't play long enough with the Rays to be the greatest Rays player ever. We think it's a Crawford Longoria.
Yeah, I think it's Longoria. By the way, home run derby ratings down, noticeably down.
Really?
Yeah, last year's did right around 7 million. This year's barely did 6 million, 6.1 million. Down 13+%.
Adam's on hold.
Good deal.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that too, because baseball's, having a nice year. But, no Judge, no Trout, no Ohtani.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for waking up with us, Miller and Moulton. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan to talk all things NFL at the top of the hour. Seth Everett, 1 hour from now. Adam Rittenberg's kind enough to join us once again. He covers college football for ESPN, ESPN Plus, ESPN.com. You can also hear him on the SiriusXM College channel, channel 84. Follow Adam on Twitter at ESPN Rittenberg. That's Rittenberg with 2 E's, ESPN Rittenberg. Adam, it's David and Mark. Thanks for getting up at this hour. How are you?
I'm okay, guys. Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's our pleasure. Listen, this story hits close to home for you. You're a Northwestern alum. You're based in Chicago. So just, you've obviously been around the school and the program for a good chunk of your adult life here. I don't know, personally, your thoughts on what's going on at your alma mater.
Yeah, it's certainly stunning. I mean, it's a program I know well. I know a lot of people that have been through Northwestern. Obviously, I know Pat Fitzgerald incredibly well. We've known each other for more than 20 years. So it's definitely a different type of situation. But a lot of people have kind of been asking me, are you okay? It's like someone died. I mean, this is a job. You got to cover the story. And so that's what I've been trying to do. But it is, certainly a kind of a sad situation because this is a figure that's incredibly important to the school and certainly to the fan base. But, there obviously were some things that happened in the program that are concerning. And, the way that it's evolved from Friday till Monday till now is the part that's just stunning, because I think people are making the connection that an investigation led to his firing. That's really not the case. The investigation led to a suspension, fairly minor suspension, and then everything that happened after that point ultimately led to Fitch's firing, and now we know that it's a firing for cause on Monday night. So definitely an interesting and different type of story, but certainly one that hits pretty close to home for me, for sure.
And I know everybody's focused on Fitzgerald, but if there is a culture of hazing inside the Northwestern program, how do all the other coaches survive?
It's a good question for, athletic director Derek Gregg and university president Michael Schill. They haven't spoken to the media. There's been no press conferences, really no availabilities either so far. Now, I think it's notable that 5 of the coaches on the staff are new. These are guys that arrived this year that did not they were not in the program when the whistleblower, the former player, was there, and so you can't really attribute any of the hazing that he mentioned to these coaches. You also have to have a season. The season's coming up. Firing all the coaches in July and trying to replace them, it would be very difficult. So I understand the question. I think it's a fair one I certainly want to ask Northwestern, but also the report that came out on Friday, said that there was not evidence that any coach, including Pat Fitzgerald, was aware or encouraging or truly turning the other cheek to what was going on. There was a line in there about how there were opportunities to identify hazing activities and report them, but there wasn't direct examples of negligence, and nobody was named in the report, players or coaches. There was obviously just the initial penalty for Fitzgerald. So definitely a fair question, but I also think that they need to try to keep this program together as best they can with the season coming up.
Adam Rittenberg covers college football, ESPN, ESPN.com. You can also hear him on SiriusXM's Channel 84, their college channel. Follow him on Twitter, ESPN Rittenberg, ESPN Rittenberg. Adam, help us out here. I thought in going through Fitzgerald's lawyer's statement that they're claiming that no new information came forward from the suspension on Friday. Is that how you're understanding it? Because the rest of us are thinking, well, clearly if the president 3 days later fires him, he heard something new or different. And it seems as if Fitzgerald's camp is saying, yeah, whatever he heard was already in the report.
Right. And I think, in the president's statement on Monday night, he does reference, some new media reporting. There obviously were other former players that came out with some allegations or corroborating, some of the hazing incidents that the initial whistleblower, the former player, first brought forth back in late November of 2022. But Fitzgerald's attorney also told me, that there was an agreement. He called it an oral contract, which is it's protected in Illinois, between Fitzgerald, the university president, and the general counsel at Northwestern. That went into the decision to suspend Fitz for 2 weeks. That they agreed to that, and that Northwestern told Fitz and his agent that was the extent of his punishment. So that's what they're going to argue if it gets to that point. Northwestern certainly could, say, well, more people came out and we ultimately had more reason to fire for cause. And we'll see if it gets to a court and a discovery. That may not be good for Fitzgerald. It may not be good for Northwestern. I mean, it's setting up to be a very ugly situation between the university and someone who is still very popular among fans, among alumni. So we'll see how this evolves. I think it's understandably, I think Fitz and his team want to get the money that he's owed left on his contract. And, from talking to Dan Webb, his attorney, who again, former U.S. attorney here in the Northern District of Illinois, he's a very decorated trial attorney. They also talked about reputational damages. So again, it's setting up to be pretty ugly, which is not surprising, but certainly unfortunate. And again, I would love to ask Michael Schill, the president, about this. He's been on the job for less than a year, guys, and he's now again about to take on someone who is one of the more accomplished people in the school history. If you think about it, someone who, in terms of their significance and their impact at Northwestern University, very few can match what Pat Fitzgerald was able to do. If you think about as a player and as a coach until Monday night.
At the end of the day, did the Daily Northwestern get Pat Fitzgerald fired?
Well, I think the whistleblower got Pat Fitzgerald fired. I know the Daily's getting a lot of credit, and as an alum of the Daily, I'm certainly proud of those student journalists. But the student or the former player had a very clear plan, and I reported on this on Sunday. A current player, talked to me about a conversation that he had with this teammate of his, and the teammate was very clear about what he was going to do if the investigation didn't result in ideally a firing, but certainly more severe penalties than the ones that were initially given out. So the whistleblower was going to go to the Daily Northwestern. That was his plan. I wish he came to ESPN first, but that was the strategy, and it certainly it changed the story dramatically when those details came out. But I think to one of your earlier questions, the details that came out in the Daily were not new. Those were details that absolutely, I can tell you with 100% certainty, were shared with the investigative team, because I have seen the initial correspondence that this individual sent to Northwestern when he referenced running, that awful hazing practice that he said occurred at Northwestern. He used the word gang rape in that initial email. There was not every single detail in that initial email that was in the Daily Northwestern, but this person told me that they revealed everything to Maggie Hickey and the investigative team. So, yes, that story changed this story for sure. But it was not new to Northwestern. And again, that's the question. Why, if you knew all of that, did you only decide a 2-week suspension at a time of the year when coaches are on vacation, when there's no recruiting, when there's no practice or games? Why did you feel that was an appropriate punishment?
So do you think, and obviously we don't know, but do you think, not that they were trying to cover up, but that they're like, listen, we'll do this 2-week unpaid vacation and we'll just put this thing behind us. And then when some of the salacious details appeared in print on Saturday, even though it was not new, that it just made the president look bad. And it makes us wonder, what if they had suspended him for 2 games? Do you think this goes away? If you know what I mean, Adam, because we all looked at it and said, well, that's a pretty light punishment there. I mean, an unpaid vacation during the time of the year when he's going to be on vacation. I mean, that's kind of a joke. But what if they had suspended him for the 2 games? Their first game's on national television. Their second game would have been the home opener. That's actually a suspension. That's got some meat on the bone. Okay. Do you think this thing goes away?
It's a great question. My sense in speaking with the whistleblower multiple times is that it would not have, because he still would have done exactly what he did and tried to make sure that those details were known. It's a school ultimately, guys. I mean, this is the thing. I don't think Pat Fitzgerald gets fired at a true football factory type school. A school that cares so much about winning in football that everything that happened over the weekend, they can kind of just move forward. Northwestern's a place, and again, I haven't gone there. I know this. Academic reputation trumps anything that's ever happened on the football field, and it's also a place that's really sensitive to being embarrassed. And so it's kind of the perfect type of place for the backlash to result in the action that occurred Monday night. That's just my belief in having been around that program, and then obviously covering a number of other programs in college football, because I'm not minimizing what happened by any means. And those things are awful. And there's certainly some degree of responsibility for Pat Fitzgerald as the leader of the program. But your own investigation did not uncover evidence that he knew about it or was encouraging it. Okay. There's been a lot of much worse things that you could certainly implicate a coach for in college football, that they've been able to keep their job. I think this is just a place that can't really handle negative publicity. You saw this a little bit a couple of years ago when they hired an athletic director who was a very obvious hire for them, but that person was also named in a lawsuit by a former cheerleader, a sexual harassment lawsuit. There was pressure, and that person ultimately had to step down under pressure. So this is just kind of how it is at Northwestern. And you also had a president who didn't hire Pat Fitzgerald, an athletic director who didn't hire Pat Fitzgerald, and he's also coming off of the worst season since 1989. So I think there's some factors in here that contributed to Monday's decision. I just don't think, I'm not going to name the schools. You guys can figure them out. I think if he was at some of these different schools, he would still be the head coach.
He's Adam Rittenberg, and he covers college football for ESPN, ESPN.com. You can hear him on SiriusXM College Channel 84. And you can follow him on Twitter at ESPN Rittenberg, and that's Rittenberg with 2 E's. Adam, thanks for your time. Appreciate your work from afar, and hopefully we can do this again.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Adam Rittenberg, who reported on this story, by the way, back in January, that there was someone within the program that had sent out some emails and that I believe Adam was the first one to report, Mark, that an investigation is underway at Northwestern. And he reported that back in January.
And like you said yesterday, David, you think this is really the end for Northwestern football as we know it.
Yeah. Bud Elliott and I went back and forth texting all day. He thinks I'm wrong. And I go, oh, no, I think they're going to be the worst Power 5 program in the country for the rest of the decade. I really do.
And from what Adam said, based on the school caring about academics more than athletics, it'll be interesting how this hire goes a year from now, whoever it is, whether the interim coach gets the job or whether they go outside, of how they go forward.
Well, if Adam's right, and as a Northwestern alum who lives in Chicago, who's covered the program closely, that it's a school that can't handle embarrassment very well, don't you think then they're inclined to cut a check?
100%.
If you want to avoid embarrassment, well, then pay up. We'll keep this quiet, but you're going to have to pay. What's it worth to you to get it out of the paper?
Miller and Moulton. We switch from the college football scene to the pro football scene. Pat Kirwan is next, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone, on 5th Avenue in Naples.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Pat.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
How did it go? You had a lot of things on your agenda there.
We got lucky. It was supposed to rain the whole time we were gone. Never got a drop of rain. Had a great trip in D.C. Got the daughter to everything she wanted to see except for the White House tour that I didn't have done in time. But and then a couple days.
Thank God it wasn't you at the White House. I was going to ask a different question.
And then a couple of days up in the mountains in Maryland. That was fantastic. And then a couple of days in Pittsburgh with my mother-in-law. That was Pittsburgh.
Nice.
I heard an amazing thing yesterday. You're actually taking a week off, Pat?
Yeah, first time in about 3 or 4 years.
Wow, good for you. I'm glad to hear it.
I really didn't want to, but I wasn't sure the equipment was going to work absolutely guaranteed. So
now, where are you going in Europe for the hockey tournament?
Austria.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah, we landed in Venice. I do. I'm on a different flight than the kids. And then it's just a two-hour drive to the town right in the middle of Austria that's got the tournament. And it's I saw the schedule. I was telling David his first 4 games are Germany, Norway, Sweden, and Austria. Should be fun.
That's what a great experience for him.
Yeah, and I think it's like they have they're going to play for 6 straight days and 2 games a day, so it's 12 games.
They're young and strong. They can do it.
Oh yeah. I think they modify the time, but I didn't know this. You probably did, Mark. I didn't know that the European ice is wider.
Right, 200 by 100.
Yeah, and he said, they're not used to being checked, and it's hard to check them because there's lots of room to get around you.
And you start skating out to the corners as a defenseman, you can get exposed really quickly.
Yep. So it's all.
They should do that in the States. They just won't. That's 2 to 4 rows of really good seats.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the American fan has come to love a lot more contact.
Yeah, I just think they're bigger, faster, stronger, that you wouldn't lose as much contact as you did 15 years ago, if you know what I mean.
Yep. So it'll be fun to watch the whole thing. I was talking to Bernhard Raymer, the left tackle for the Colts. He doesn't live far from there, so I was just asking him, and he said, "Oh no, it's a town with a huge lake. Everybody goes there in the summer. There should be lots of action all over town." And hey, I'm going to be sitting in one town for 7 days by myself. So, feed the kids, and when I put them to bed, go out instead of going upstairs to do the radio show, because the radio show at that time it'd be 9 till 1 o'clock in the morning. It's all good.
Absolutely. You at the lake house right now?
I am. It's gorgeous up here right now.
I bet.
It's just, I played 12 holes of golf this morning. I teed off at 5, and it was 66 degrees. Nice.
Well, I'm sorry we got in your way.
Oh, you and Fitz. How about poor Fitz? Fitz at Northwestern.
Oh yeah,
he's a good guy.
Is he going to get an NFL job?
The Packers were after him a couple of years ago. I never understood why he stayed at Northwestern. They were very interested in him. Yeah, he'll have to be a coordinator or something, and then they'll clean it up. But I think as the longer that people talk about it, the less they're going to be blaming him, and really looking at the university, making him a scapegoat of the whole thing.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Third and final hour along the network anyway of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice. We're just halfway home in the 239. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Seth Everett to join us in about 35 minutes' time. Pat Kirwan's kind enough to join us for his weekly appearance during the off-season. Pat's appearance is brought to us courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and a dozen locations in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Good morning, Pat. How are you?
Good morning, fellas. And yeah, things are moving along kind of slowly, which is nice. And there's always stuff. I'm always interested in the contracts for the big guys, Jones and Highsmith, and the three quarterbacks. We'll see if things get done before camp starts. So kind of keep my eye on that. Alex Highsmith's the one that's fun for me to talk about. They're never going to let him have more money than TJ Watt. We've talked about that before. But when you look at his production, you have to start asking yourself, well, where does he fit in? And it looks to me like, I hate to say it, but it looks like it's 5 years and $100 million, just slightly under TJ Watt. Now, I don't think they're going to do that. But it's the Steeler fans are crazy, but they're smart in a sense. They go, no. Just give him 2 franchise tags and say goodbye to him, because we always find good linebackers. That was coming up yesterday on multiple fronts from the Steeler fans. But so I'm looking at contracts, those kind of things. And just a quick note on Northwestern. I heard you guys talking before I came on. I'm pretty close. No, I'm really close to Billy O'Brien when he took over Penn State under that disaster and trying to get that thing back where they wanted it. Now, Penn State's a whole lot different when it comes to football than Northwestern, but I spent a lot of time with Bill. In fact, James Brown had asked me, is there a chance you could introduce me to Bill? I'd like to go out and spend time with him and see what the challenges are. So I've been around one of these kind of things before, and some of the challenges that they all face. And then it's a question of how much they want it. I thought the Penn State problems were 10 times worse than what this is. And I'm not minimizing this, but, I heard what you said, David, about maybe this is the end for Northwestern. I think they really have a challenge that they can't let that happen. They have the ability to play football there.
Well, and we could talk about this for a while. We could get back to the NFL. Pat, this is how, and I don't want to lump Mark in, but first off, Penn State, the fiasco was 2011. It's a hugely different college landscape now than it was 12 years ago. We didn't have the transfer portal. We didn't have NIL. And I don't believe, first off, a really good academic school like Northwestern. Notice Stanford's program's gone in the tank. Notice Vandy can't pick themselves back up. Now, Duke had a nice bounce back season last year, but the really good small private colleges are having a hard time because they can't accept transfers the way all the other schools do. They can lose their kids in the portal, but the way they're set up academically, they can't bring kids in midstream and have those kids be eligible for the next semester. So I think they're hurting there, but also, Pat, Northwestern, that's a small private college, 8,000 students. Are they going to play the NIL game? Penn State's a monster. That's a football factory. They're going to play the game. They're going to do whatever's necessary to get their program back on its feet, and they've done it. I don't see the commitment from Northwestern, and you need more of a commitment now, Pat, than ever before.
Yeah, I agree with all that, but I do think that the Stanfords of the world, Northwesterns, there's a wave of kids. Maybe it's the parent influence or the high school they went to, that they understand the value of going to those schools, and they are guys. Now, do I think that they can get transfers? It's interesting because I won't talk about the school, but he told me that they are targeting the Ivy League kids. And he said, we're looking for the Ivy League guys in the portal. Our university would love that. And there's just enough of them. So I do think there's still a band. It's not a wide band of kids that understand a Northwestern education is a good thing. And I could play football here as well. So does that mean they're going to win the Big Ten? No, of course not. But there's a lot of teams in the Big Ten that think they'd do anything to win, and they can't win either. So I think Northwestern they'll still be what they are.
Will Pat Fitzgerald be in the NFL at any point, you think, this year or next as an assistant of some sort?
Yeah. To Do I think it'll be publicized? No, I think the first stop for him is probably taking the rest of the year off, or some NFL guy that's a good friend of his. He's well thought of in the National Football League. His name was bantered about with the Green Bay Packers a couple of years ago. But someone's going to make him a special assistant, and I had to do it once, and I hired a guy, and he had some issues, but we made him a volunteer, which I gave him spending money in a room, which turned out to be a house he rented with his wife and kids. But it was a good breather for him before he went back into it. But I would think Fitz will get himself something, and then quietly do some work, and then a year from now get a position coaching job, and then a coordinator's job, and maybe be available someday for a head coaching job. I think the longer this story is talked about, the more an NFL team would say, you know what, he didn't know what was going on, and they could still sell it. If he's good as a coordinator, he's got to go out and win, and be the kind of coach I think he is. So it might take a few years.
I think he'll always be a candidate for the Bears job. I really do. He's beloved in Chicago. He's spent most of his entire adult life in the city. He's a defensive coach. That's a franchise that puts defense ahead of offense first. I know they have a defensive coach now, but I think that he'll always be beloved in that city, and that's the most beloved franchise in that city. I think he'll always be a candidate for the Bears job if he wants to be.
I do too, but it's going to take time. And the guy that's in there now, Eberflus, is doing a nice job. If I was betting, I'd bet that he'd land up as a volunteer at either the Lions or the Packers. And man, the Packers could use his knowledge of maybe some fresh ideas.
Pat, as you're starting to, get your previews done, is there a team that everybody's sleeping on right now? Are you starting to look for teams that maybe are off the beaten path that we're sleeping on? Because when I hear the Packers, I worry about everybody burying them in the division so quickly. It's like, I'm not ready to put them at fourth yet in the NFC North.
No, but it sounds like their fans are thinking that way. It's amazing. Just yesterday, we had a couple of them talking about that. So, yeah, I think this is a team that I think has got a better situation than anyone's talking about is the Cleveland Browns. The more I study those guys, the more I see what they're trying to do. And it's all these teams that fit the category of your question. Most of them have a dubious quarterback situation. And I do think that, just talking to the guys in Cleveland that I'm friends with, I think they're feeling real good that Watson's going to be closer to the guy he was in Houston than the guy he was last year. So there's one. And the other one's Denver. We talked about Atlanta. That's a little bit more of a reach because the quarterback is a total unknown. But hey, you put Sean Payton with Russell. Russell's in way better shape mentally and physically. I would think those two teams probably going to make more noise than people think.
He's Pat Kirwan, CBS's NFL Today. NFL Radio's moving the chains weekdays 3 to 7. He joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. Hey, isn't the deadline next week? There's only a handful of players that were, given the tag, but a few of them haven't signed it. Don't they either have to, they have to accept it by next week, or what if they don't?
They don't have to accept it by next week. You got to stop negotiating with them. You're not going to be allowed to do a long-term deal with them. I think it's the 17th. But they don't have to sign, and a lot of them are just going to hold out right till the day before the opening game and then come in and get hurt right away. And that's usually what happens when you take the whole summer off. I hate to say it, but that's where my brain goes to. But no, they don't have to commit to it now. And there's going to be a couple, which they never do it because they're not that stupid. But there's a lot of money in a franchise tag. Now, yeah, we all know why they want a long-term deal and financial security, signing bonuses, all that business. But so one of these knuckleheads is going to say he's going to hold out for 10 weeks and then come in and sign it and come in then. So it almost never happens because the agent starts realizing 10 paychecks on a franchise tag. That's a lot of cash just to accrue a season and get back into this. So they'll sign. I think most of them will sign with a week before the first game.
Where's Dalvin Cook going to sign? Starting to get a lot more action, hearing a lot more noise with his name. The Jets, the Dolphins are still up there, but where do you think he ends up at the end of the day?
I think he wants to be a Dolphin, and I think someone would have to offer a lot more money. I don't ever believe Deshaun Watson wanted to be a Cleveland Brown until they threw a deal at him that he could take. Cook and D-Hop are still out there because no one's paying what they think they're worth. So they're trying to drum up business. I mean, you really can't go look at any football media stuff without seeing Hopkins more than Cook, but those are the only two stories out there. There are other stories that I'll get to in a second, but I think he wants to be a Dolphin. It's at home, and it's just the right place for him. Now, Miami might be taking advantage of thinking that's what he wants and keeping the price low. That'd be good for him. The Jet thing, look, they're all in. They are all in, so they might be the one. The trick to these two guys is, and I think New England and Tennessee kind of blew it. You got to put that offer on a table. You got 2 days. Otherwise, we're going to pull it back. We're not going to let you shop the deal around. I used to talk to agents like that all the time.
And it looks as if Pat's signal was breaking up a little bit. Pat Kirwan joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. To me, it's tough to argue the Chiefs need D-Hop, and we only got about a minute before we break. But, they did a lot of things last year, Pat, that's tough to duplicate. They threw the shortest passes in the league and had more 20-plus yard plays than anybody. Can they really do all that again with a wide receiving core that's not as good? Yeah, I think we lost Pat.
We did.
Okay. Well,
it happens.
Try to get him back on the other side. Seth Everett in 25 minutes. I know that.
That's for sure. We'll see if Pat Kirwan comes back for another segment or not on the other side, as well as I think Pat tried to reconnect here. So let's see. Hopefully we'll hook up with Pat here on the other side. Miller and Moulton. 21,000 is the text line. Seth Everett coming up in a little more than 25 minutes time. If you have a question for Miller and Moulton, or for Pat or Seth for that matter, you can text the show at 21,000 21000. We'll see more with Pat Kirwan, brought to you by Pinchers, coming up on the other side right here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Yeah, I think Pat's gone.
I think he's going to try to reconnect her.
Okay. When are you going to read? I'd suggest pretty soon.
Hey, Felipe, I just sent you Pat's number.
All right. I'll call him.
Okay. Thank you.
What a grab by the fan in the Bananas game.
I know. Oh.
There's Pat.
Here we go.
All right. Coming back in about a minute. Thanks, Pat.
Sorry about that. I don't know what that is. But
It happens.
yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't happen between 3 and 7.
You know what? I'm starting to think about days off like never before.
Good.
All right, 10 seconds.
Was almost done with the linebackers. Then I have the secondary, and that's the end of that project. And that thing is time consuming.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today Show. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, dozen locations in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. Pat, I was asking you about D-Hop and the Chiefs and how much of a need do they have to upgrade at wide receiver. Obviously, the offense didn't need a so-called number one wide receiver last year, but they had like 2 twos along with Kelsey. Well, they lost arguably those 2 twos. Now, I know Tony could be a bigger player this year and all that, but Pat, do the Chiefs need D-Hop?
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, you always want great players when you can get them, and they have the chance in their minds to sell the idea of a Super Bowl, and maybe they're the only team that can get them at a discount. So, yeah, of course they need them, and all you need is one injury to Kelsey, and then what are they? Because right now Kelsey is a real problem for everybody, as we all know. And I think the Juju thing, which was your point, that production needs to be found. And Kadarius Toney and those guys, I'm not ready to say that just because Mahomes was throwing that they're going to be that good. So I'm doing that in a second, because getting a number one receiver is going to lighten the load for Kelsey and vice versa. So I say absolutely they need him. If they intend to win 2 Super Bowls in the next 2 or 3 years, that guy's going to help a lot. So I would say that they know they need him. I was talking to someone not too long ago about Andy Reid. Andy Reid likes to never call the same play twice. It's interesting the way he sees football. I mean, he's a brilliant coach, but he doesn't believe in repeating plays. And when you want to be a guy that's going to run 60 different plays in a game, having D-Hop helps you do that. He sees football, I think, that way, in that, well, look at all the options this guy's going to give me that I don't have right now. If he's trying to put together a game plan, a D-Hop's going to give him, 15 extra different ways to do stuff, and he likes variety.
Mark, Kelsey turns 34 after week 4. All right. Just, he hasn't slowed down yet, but he's, a tight end who's approaching 34 here. It's going to happen, and it could happen sooner than we think.
Well, and that being said, Pat, I don't know if it would be a glaring hole at wide receiver for the Chiefs, but what other top team are you looking at right now as you go through the positional groups? Where do you see holes for teams that we think are elite? The Buffaloes, the Cincinnatis, Kansas City, we just pointed out. Is there another team that you see that we consider elite that you look at them and say, hold on just a minute, I see a hole here?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, let me start on the positive side. Buffalo and Brandon Beane, I think, does one of the best jobs in the NFL of roster depth. All you have to do is go look at their depth chart and look at the backups, look at the second string guys. So I think it's very important to them to ask that question of themselves and then proceed to have answers. And I'll give you one example with them. You look at their defensive line and you say, okay, because I'm in the middle of doing all these defenses. And by the way, one of the teams that's surfacing as really good in all the defensive areas are the Bengals. But if you look at them and you say, okay, let's go with Buffalo, their second string defensive line on paper is Shaq Lawson, Poona Ford, who's been a full-time starter, Timmy Settle, and Leonard Floyd. Oh, yeah, and there's Boogie Basham and Jordan Phillips behind them, along with Epinesa. So their first group is Von Miller, Rousseau, Daquan Jones, and Oliver. They're solid as the seconds. And their third, really, Boogie Basham and Jordan Phillips, be no worse than a second line for most teams in the league, and they're sitting in the third. So they do a good job of that. Now, for the teams that I think have a glaring need, we've talked about the Dolphins. I don't think the offensive line is good enough to protect that quarterback. I think there's one area that I'd look and say, we're all holding our breath about Tua, but is the offensive line good enough? to be able to do their part in protecting them. So I think there's a glaring situation. People like to talk about the 49ers all the time, and I'm just finishing up on their secondary. The secondary, to me, has got some question marks in it. Now, you think about this. I don't even want to talk about the Rams, but think about the guys that are gone, and you start looking at what they're doing with the 49ers. I love the two safeties, but I have some questions about the corners and the nickelback. So that's another thing. To me, your answer really is depth. I have so many teams that have no depth, and they're good teams, really good teams. Doing the inside linebackers and some of the teams we like a lot, after the first two guys, you study those guys and go look. After the first two guys, there's nothing behind the rest of them. So that kind of intrigues me about what's going on. Again, I'll look at Miami. Jerome Baker's a good player. David Long, who they got, is a good player. But after that, Kindle, no starts. Duke Riley, not many starts. Aubrey Miller, who I talked to yesterday, is an undrafted college free agent, who's probably going to make it. You get one injury to Jerome Baker, and they have their linebacker core is in trouble. So that might be another place I'd look real closely at some things. And finally, the pass rush unit for the Baltimore Ravens. I like their linebackers are awesome. We all know the names Roquan and Queen, and even backup like Harrison and the draft pick Simpson. But if you look at their front and start saying, okay, who can rush the passer? They're holding their breath. That always going to become something. Man, I'd be real nervous about that. That's the best I can give you off the top of my head.
Well, it's interesting listening to you because the Bills should probably trade one of their defensive linemen to Baltimore, who should trade one of their linebackers back to Buffalo, because if Milano gets hurt, the Bills linebacking core is subpar. So they're a lot thinner at that unit than they probably are maybe at any other unit on the team. Hey, Kamara pleads no contest. You know, this was the Pro Bowl a year and a half ago in Vegas, and he's facing a civil suit and what have you, but he ends up getting really a slap on the wrist. I mean, they settled for $100,000 when he was being sued for $10 million. Does that matter, by the way? And does that, because it ends up being a misdemeanor, does that mean no suspension? Does it mean less suspension? How do you think that works?
Well, they can give him a 6-gamer, but I don't think they will. Since there's a video and everyone saw what was going on, which to me, in the world of the PR world of the NFL, I think we all know that now there's a court of public opinion about it. I think they're going to, if I was them, I'd give him a 2-game suspension. That would be me. I wouldn't let him off free, number one. Not with the video out there, and not with everyone knowing what happened, and not with him admitting whatever he admitted. And that it was an event surrounding the Pro Bowl. So it's at an NFL event. It's been made public. I would think, and they're allowed to reduce that suspension from 6 to 2 if they want to do it. So that's what I would do. I don't know. What do you guys want to do?
And I was listening to yesterday.
Well, I left out one other piece, and it's the Saints. They like smashing the Saints.
Well, the Saints certainly believe that. Okay. And there's no place where Goodell goes where he's treated worse than New Orleans. And that goes all the way back to when Peyton was suspended for the year. Saints, by the way, open up hosting Tennessee and at Carolina. Pat, 20 seconds. You think Tyreek Hill's in trouble with the Dolphins?
I don't think he's an angel and never was. I think he's had other issues. Some of them he's gotten out from under, but they knew what they were getting involved with. They're so anxious to be great that I think they're going to do anything they can to get this thing to go away. He is what he is.
Well, no, but 10 seconds. But I mean with the league. Do you think he's in trouble with the league?
I don't think it's as much to answer that question as it relates to our New Orleans issue. No, I don't think it's as dangerous and serious.
He's Pat Kirwan, comes to us every week, courtesy of Pinterest. Pat, as always, thank you very much. Seth Everett in the On Deck Circle. He's next on Miller and Moulton. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What's up, Seth?
Welcome back.
Thank you. How are you?
Good. Where'd you go?
We went to D.C. for a few days. We went to Deep Creek, Maryland for a few days, and then finished at my mother-in-law's in Pittsburgh.
Nice. Very nice. That's a good trip.
Little planes, trains, and automobiles, Seth.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Did it all in one day, too. We flew to Baltimore, took the train to D.C., so covered that planes, trains, and automobiles all in one day.
A friend of mine was supposed to go to Yellowstone. He lives in L.A., and they were supposed to meet his in-laws who are already in Yellowstone. Their flight was delayed 6 hours and then canceled. And the best they could get them was a flight the next evening. And the in-laws had booked a trip. You know, it was a vacation.
Right.
And so he rented a car, and they drove 16 hours.
Oh.
And then got there at like 11 in the morning, and because it was a vacation and they had their kids with them, he just pressed on. He was up for 33 hours straight.
Oh.
My friend Eddie. He told the story.
Eddie, you're
I
a
couldn't
trooper.
believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, everybody, you know, David had me a little nervous. You've seen all the plane. I don't pay attention. I don't travel, so I don't pay attention.
And all the media is obsessed with travel.
Yes, they are.
It's obsessed. It's the lead story everywhere.
Well, except for here.
Weather
for
and
here.
travel.
Weather and travel.
Because last night I turned on the local news for the first time in forever. It happened to just come on. And they go through, actually, sorry, on Sunday, I was watching golf. And golf ends, and they go into the news. And I mean, the local news had some meat on the bone. There was a murder here. There was this here. There was a shooting here. I mean, the local news. The A block had some meat. And they come right back after the 3 T's. They come to the lead anchor, and she says, but first, the skies, let's check on the weather in Southwest. And I'm like, it's hot. What do you want me to do? It's 100 degrees out.
What are we learning? I know. I laugh at the local news here. I mean, the local news here, something happened in Harlem. I'm sorry. There was an apartment fire. I know. My heart goes out to them. What impact does it have on me? What do I need to know this for?
You know, it's funny, Seth. We had a very serious discussion 30 years ago in a newsroom about, okay, let's think about crime. Okay, you know, how many people does it really affect?
Right.
Okay. Like if we're going to do
the neighbors,
stories, yes.
and
what we ended up doing, and we were in 3rd place, and we made some changes. And one of the things we really got into was health.
Right.
We would do a health story in the 6 o'clock news in the A block or at the first story of the B block every night, because everybody cares about their health.
Right. Right. Now the health news is all Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro and all those, and oh my god.
But our ratings went up, by the way.
No, I'm sure it did.
We sat down with a consultant. One of the few times a consultant was beneficial. We had a serious discussion about what it is that people truly care about, and we actually tailored a newscast to supposedly what it is they cared about, and we did very little crime.
Well, there's this flood in Vermont, and it's awful. I mean, it's
Yeah.
awful, right? And we're going to Maine in about 10 days. Maine is not really that close. It's about a day's drive. Is there any impact whatsoever? Is there any residual impact of this whatsoever? Should we not go? There's no impact on this. We're going to Portland, Maine, not near Vermont, but it's closer to Vermont than here.
Love the cobblestone streets in Portland, Maine, by the way.
I love Portland. We haven't been since COVID because
I only went twice back in the days of Roller Hockey International. Seth, I broadcast some games from the Portland Civic Center between whatever the main team was. I don't remember their nickname, in the Atlanta Fire Ants. That's right, the Atlanta Fire Ants of Roller Hockey International.
The last time I was in Portland, I got asked to go on the Sacramento Kings radio station, and with Doug Christie. And I was just walking to find a quiet place to do it. And I went up sitting on this guy's dock.
10 seconds.
And after I got done, the guy came over and goes, "Could you get off my property?" Oops.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, our final segment along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour awaits in the 239 here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Since it is a hump day, it's time for Seth Everett. He of Sports with Friends and Hall of Justice. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing fine. Did you miss, because you speak very fondly of pretty much every place where you've ever lived, but you spent time in Denver, and you went from Denver 25 years ago to Seattle. You speak very fondly of your time in Seattle. You still have media commitments there, etc. Were you missing not being in Seattle for All-Star, week there?
It was funny. I got to live it through Facebook. Not really Twitter or Instagram or Threads for that matter. But Facebook was all, I saw everything that everybody was doing and whatnot. My favorite story was my buddy, Softy, Dave Mahler, who went up to Felix, the closer for the Orioles, and said, "Are you uncomfortable with they call you King Felix?" He's like, King Felix is kind of Mariners. He says, "Yeah, it's kind of weird. There really is only one King Felix." He goes, "Tell the Orioles fans to stop." I thought that was one of my favorite videos that I saw on social media. Look, I love Seattle. I love that ballpark, but everybody to a man, and they weren't making me feel better. Everyone said this is a far cry from 2001. 2001 was a magical week. If you think about it from my personal standpoint, I had spent 4 years in Seattle. I left in March of 2001 to go work for Major League Baseball. And my first significant road trip back is the All-Star game. And 9 of my friends had made the team. The team was rolling, and it was like a homecoming week. It was one of the greatest weeks of my professional life. Nothing's going to come close to that. So, to compare All-Star games, I will say it was a great experiment in social media. I almost screen grabbed it for you guys. Every tweet from 8:20, because I didn't watch the beginning of the game. It's so stinking hot that I went for a walk, and I did like a 2-mile walk, but I waited till 8:00 at night because it was, the sun went down. And so I got back and I got in and I checked Twitter, and every tweet is about the uniforms. Everything was about the uniforms.
Was there any tweet that you saw that was positive about the uniforms?
Well, no. No, no. But what I found out, because later I had to finish Sports with Friends, and I was working, so I didn't really watch the game. I watched the highlights, and I saw the MLB highlight package. There were 2 great catches in the first inning.
Yes.
That was not on social media. Not on social media. No one knows that if you were just watching social media, because all they wanted to talk about were those ugly uniforms. And the uniforms, by the way, the National League looked like those were work pants. Like those looked like ugly work pants. And what was with the helmets with the A and the N? Was I supposed to do the math and you couldn't put ALNL?
Well, Seth, like I said
They are
before,
hideous.
and baseball still does really well in each individual market. Nationally, baseball is not what it was. Television, we all know that. But we also all know that baseball in its local markets does great, which means that fans know what? Their players. That was an
Couldn't
introduction.
recognize them.
That was an introduction to the rest of the league, and you didn't know who the hell anybody was.
What I always said, my big argument, and Daryl and I used to debate this all the time. I always loved that every team got represented. I always thought that if you were if you were ineligible to play because you were hurt, go. I always thought you should go. And third, I always thought that you always have to think about the 11-year-old kid, the 11-year-old Pirates fan. And when during the introductions, which, by the way, the introductions used to be the best part of the whole game.
They sucked.
And the guy in the Pirate uniform would come out, and that's that guy's moment. And you took that all away. For what? And if you're telling me it's to sell jerseys because we're in a business and we're selling jerseys, that league has one network that they lost their rights already. They're going to get 2 more next week. You can talk about all the money that you're making. You're making all the money in the world. Your sport is sinking. And you are out of touch with your fan base. And it's not your old fan base. Because this is a young fan base that likes the home team uniforms too. Those uniforms were heinous. And they were dumb. And that's baseball. That's just, it's such a baseball move. It's hysterical.
Well, and Seth, and our young producer hates them as well, and that's the part that gets me. He's 22. He's the one that's supposed to like that jersey. They're not made for us. And when I'm finding out that the generation that's supposed to like the jersey can't stand it as well, it's a massive failure on the league's part.
I don't think you can find anyone who liked those jerseys.
The 2 stories, because I didn't want to do the whole thing on the uniforms, but 2 stories that I took from this whole event. Number one, do you know that Manfred is talking about extending the pitch clock in the postseason?
Well, the Players Association has brought it up. He said he's open to listening. His gut reaction is not to, okay? But he basically is saying, Seth, we may not have to be as hard line, okay, in the postseason because of what's at stake. He says, I do not want a key moment of a key game decided by a clock.
Yeah, and in the 3rd round of the Stanley Cup Finals, we're not going to have icing.
So well played, Seth.
The other one was, the Seattle fans went bonkers for Ohtani, right? They will come to Seattle, come to Seattle, come to Seattle. Did you know Ohtani fed that? He said the last 2 off seasons he lives in Seattle. He loves the city. He wants to live there. Sorry, Mets, Yankee fans, panic.
Seth, we said it 3 weeks ago. In fact, Mark, I went with Seattle. Did you at the end of the day? It was close.
I went with Seattle a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been a Mets, 100% Mets on this because Bobby Axelrod, the billionaire, wants to sign him. He's going to sign him. But if he wants to be in Seattle, let him sign in Seattle.
Seth, his idol is Ichiro. Okay.
My idol too.
He spent the last 2 off seasons in Seattle. He's played in the American League West his whole career. The problem is the Mets and the Dodgers are going to put $500 million on the table. They're at least going to have to be competitive.
You want a great Ichiro All-Star story from 2001?
Well, it's 2023, so it better be great.
It's great. It's great. They were in Los Angeles because the team has to be on the road so they can get the ballpark ready. And they're in Los Angeles, and the Mariners had chartered a plane for the 8 or 9 All-Stars that were coming back to Seattle for the game. So they're waiting in the clubhouse, waiting for the bus. And as they're waiting, Mike Cameron tricked Ichiro into saying something to Edgar Martinez. I'm not going to do the accent, but but Ichiro was learning English at the point. And he went, "Excuse me, Mr. Martinez, I have a question for you. Why you wear your jeans so tight? Your balls have nowhere to go." Mike Cameron said that's top 3 of his great All-Star memories.
Do we know how Edgar handled the question?
Well, he probably sat there and goes,
I must admit, I was impressed with how into the 2-3 days that Ken Griffey Jr. was, and to see him sitting on the grass as an official photographer and embracing his ambassadorship. No. It's because, and Junior, you know him pretty well. It's nice to see the kid be seemingly in love with the game again.
Yeah, I think he had a great time. I think he was a good host, and I think that he loves the love that he feels. There's a statue of him outside that ballpark, and he walks by that, and it's a certain sense of pride that he gets. He doesn't get that anywhere else on earth. And
don't you think if he had it to do over again, he would have stayed? If he had it to do over again. Now, I know they weren't paying him and Cincinnati was home and the whole deal, but now that it played out the way it played out, if you could pin him down, don't you think he wish he would? Because he went back.
Oh, I know he went back. I talked to about it with him then. Look, back then, I thought he should have gone to Tampa. If he really wanted to be close to home, because home was Orlando, home was in Cincinnati. But training was in Sarasota at the time. I don't know the whole thing. And then he got hurt. And his injuries weren't like out of shape injuries. Like he got diving, broke wrists and leg injuries and stuff like that. Just a crazy time with Cincinnati. Just crazy.
He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends Hall of Justice. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. And the reason that you're going, you guys are talking about an all-star game. It's an exhibition. Yeah, until the league championship series, that's the most eyeballs that Major League Baseball is going to get until like the 3rd week of October. I mean, that's just a fact. They got 6.1 million for the home run derby, down 13%, by the way. And the likelihood is they'll get a minimum of 7 million, but somewhere between 8 and 9 million to watch that game last night. You got to get to an LCS before you get ratings like that.
Yeah. And look, preseason football will rate higher. So look, the fact of the matter is I wasn't like boycotting it in any way. I had stuff to do and I wasn't drawn to it like I used to be.
I will say the All-Star game in baseball, though, does outrate the Pro Bowl. I mean, just see of the exhibition
All-Star
games, it's still clearly number one.
Well, if we set the bar as, what's the best All-Star game? Yeah, baseball.
It still is.
Yeah.
It still is. Right. And it's not close.
I like the hockey one. I like the skills competition a lot. I think that's really fun.
I'm with you. In the home run derby, I enjoyed the night before. I don't know what baseball.
I didn't see an ounce of that.
Do you have any thoughts of if baseball tried to do a skills competition? Could they do anything else with the home run derby to try to add to what the night before is in your estimation?
I don't know. I've been a big proponent of the home run derby, unless I've been there, and I've been to a dozen of them. Unless I've been there, I've never watched the home run derby. And this is from the 90s. I've never been into it. It's never been my thing. I don't get it. It doesn't feel dramatic to me. I don't know.
Mark, Luis Robert of the White Sox apparently hurt his calf in the home run derby, and that's why he didn't play in the All-Star game last night. And that's ultimately why I believe if baseball tries to do some kind of skill competition,
the players will say no.
And I think also the teams will be like, for what we're paying these guys, no way, can't get them hurt.
No way. Agreed.
Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. What do you got, Seth?
Radio icon Angelo Cataldi recently completed a 33-year career as host of the WIP Morning Show in Philadelphia. Has a lot of friends, a lot of enemies, and talked about all of them in the podcast. Very cool. He recently retired. For 3 years, I did a weekly, like I do on this show. For 3 years, I did a weekly on his show, and I never understood why. He had, captains of, he had managers and coaches and stuff like that, and he used to have me on all the time. And he's always been good to me. We had a great conversation.
Well, did you
Angelo
find out
Cataldi.
why? Did you ask him?
Yeah, he liked my content. He liked what I brought to the table.
Well, some people do.
Somebody does. Anyway, he was great. Angelo Cataldi on Sports with Friends. Hall of Justice. It's part 2 of my conversation with Michael Uslan, the guy who's the executive producer of every Batman movie from Michael Keaton to now. We cover the Dark Knight trilogy, the Batman, the Batfleck, Ben Affleck Batman, the Joker movie, and this Pattinson movie. It's a pretty intense conversation on that. The first episode was all the Michael Keaton and the George Clooney and the Val Kilmer Batman stuff, all from the 80s and 90s. This is more current.
All right, quickly, we're going to rank the Batmans.
Oh, Michael Keaton.
Well, but you keep going. I mean, there's a bunch of them here.
Christian Bale.
Okay.
Then I would say Affleck, except Affleck was never in a good movie. That's the problem. It's the same thing. Ryan Reynolds was great as Green Lantern. It's not his fault he fought a cloud. Same thing. So that would apply to Val Kilmer and Clooney and those guys. But
okay.
Christian Bale is 2. I think Michael Keaton was the best.
I'm surprised you take Affleck over Pattinson.
Pattinson, he looked like a child. I don't know. Pattinson rubbed me the wrong way.
Just having trouble with Adam West not being higher on the list.
Bum. Mark Miller off the top rope to end it today.
Just got to get that last word in. Very good.
Be good, Seth. Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Well done, Mark. Well played.
Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte, and Venice. It's the end of the syndicated portion of the show. The bonus hour in the 239 is next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Madison Keys got whooped in the first set, and she's going to get whooped in the second set too, even though it's on serve right now. She's fighting her tail off just to win service points. Sit up straight, good posture, read. David, she's not taking this place very seriously.
I don't blame her at all.
A Long Island man accused of slugging a one-legged man and dancing naked on a Vegas poker table only went berserk because someone spiked his drink, his family claimed on Tuesday.
Yep. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right.
Here we go.
You You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Bonus hour, Miller and Moulton, Hump Day edition. Magic numbers are 45, 50, and 57. 6.5 weeks away from week 0. USC and Notre Dame, 2 of the 7 games to kick off the college football season. If week 0 does it for you. If you're waiting until week 1, that's 50 days away, 7 weeks tomorrow. Florida, UCF amongst the teams in action then. And we're 8 weeks tomorrow, 57 days away. Lions and Chiefs in Kansas City to kick off the NFL season. Training camps will get underway next week with rookies showing up throughout the NFL. Miller Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. There are 2, I don't know if I want to call them developing stories this morning, but there's some reporting this morning that may lead to some conversation today. Is that fair?
Okay.
So the first one is The Athletic with a detailed story about how the mayor of Oakland met with Rob Manfred yesterday.
Right. First time, apparently, that they had met face-to-face.
Well,
all the other meetings, there had been no other meetings, and it's the first time the mayor is able to be able to get a sit-down with baseball's commissioner.
She's a new mayor. In fairness to her, she only got the gig 6 months ago. But yes, everything you just said is 100% correct. She provided 31 packages, if you will, one for Manfred and one for the other 30 owners. And she's like, listen, you guys have said some things publicly that are just not true. I mean, Rob, you came out a couple of weeks ago and said, we never had a plan. We never made an offer for a stadium. She goes, well, here it is right here. We made it months ago. You're being fed BS. Now, what is interesting is there are some people in Major League Baseball, Mark, that are not in favor of this. One, he's not the most popular owner, and two, that they would prefer Oakland to Vegas. I mean, Oakland's got nothing. You're king. It's like the Padres in San Diego. Now, I understand across the bay, San Francisco's got NFL and NBA, but
that actually adds more to Oakland. I mean, we're in the local hour now. And you and I have joked that Fort Myers and Naples, while lumped into one television market, couldn't be any more vastly different.
Right.
And you don't travel from Fort Myers to Naples on a whim. You just don't, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Multiply that times 100 when you get to Oakland and San Francisco.
Right. And so, anyways, so she's making her pitch kind of like, listen, we have a plan here. I thought we were 30 to 60 days away from a deal to, announce this, Howard Terminal, I think is the land and whatever. And so remember, he's got to get 23 votes from the owners. Or 22, I guess, because obviously he's not going to vote. I don't know if Manfred gets a vote or not. He's either going to get 22 out of 29 or he's got to get 23 out of 30. But there are some that believe that there are no votes amongst MLB owners. How about that? Is it possible? Because I don't know if we've ever seen it. Do you ever remember a relocation going to a vote of a league's owners and the owners going, no, we're not approving that move?
Not off the top of my head, David.
I mean, Al Davis said, I'm moving to Los Angeles. The league said, no, you're not. He said, well, see you in court. He moved to Los Angeles and he won. But he didn't ask the league for permission.
And we don't get this far down the road and have teams get denied the city that they want to go to.
Right. And obviously, I mean, the commissioner was talking about it yesterday, in which he's like, listen, Oakland and Tampa, I'm hoping Tampa's done by the end of the year, some stadium somewhere in the area. And then he's like, oh, yeah, we'll put a committee together for expansion and let's go. I mean, let's get to 32. Let's get the $4 billion into the coffers and let's go.
Right. His State of the League address was as braggadocious as Major League Baseball has been in decades.
They're those that cover the sport said that this is the most stick your chest out MLB has been about themselves in 15 years. Rightly or wrongly, that's just how they feel. So, one, I think that that's an interesting story. Is it possible that Major League Baseball may actually say to the A's, I know you're hell bent on going to Vegas, but we want you to stay in Oakland? Because what this lady put on paper here and what the city is proposing, well, if we had known that, ... So I'm just curious to see if this has any legs, or if this is her last-ditch appeal, which she has to do as mayor of Oakland, and Major League Baseball is going to pat her on the head, and they're going to approve, them going to Vegas. But there's a story on ESPN.com, Mark, and it is an in-depth story from, I want to make sure I get everybody right, Seth Wickersham and Don Van Natta. It's a long story. You look this story up, give yourself 10 minutes. This is going to take a while. But it's all the behind the scenes. This is nearly 2 years of reporting. This is all the behind the scenes of the leaked Gruden emails. Who's responsible for it? Motivations behind it, and how the irony of ironies, many people in the league think Daniel Snyder and his law firm was involved, and that if the Gruden emails were not leaked, that he would still be the owner of the Washington football team.
That Snyder, in trying to take out Gruden, took out himself.
Right. Took out Gruden.
He definitely took out Gruden. Although Gruden's going to get paid when it's all said and done.
Well, I will say this, and I was just reading parts of it during the last 2 breaks, Mark. This helps Gruden's case against the NFL. I mean, for as much of a legal expert as Miller and Moulton are, as I was reading it, I'm going, well, John Gruden's making money with every paragraph.
You have far more contacts than I do. But it was a couple of years ago that a friend of mine was at a high-level member guest tournament in Virginia. And he came back to me then, and nothing I could ever talk about on air. And I again, there were some details on there, but he just said, oh, Gruden's going to win and he's going to get paid. And these were people that followed the Commanders, that were in the know, and thought even then there was a there to Gruden's complaint. And this story, while you read more of it than I do, I saw it about a half hour ago and have tried to, like you during commercial breaks, peruse through it. This bodes well for John Gruden in his case. Now, he'll never coach again.
There are some similarities between what's gone on in the last 5 days with Northwestern. How Pat Fitzgerald's attorneys are saying, what appeared in the Northwestern paper on Saturday, that was in the report when they decided my client should only be suspended for 2 weeks in July. That wasn't anything new. It was just made public, but it's in the report. So what's the problem? Well, Mark, if you read this story, I'll try to go through quickly some highlights. Okay. First off, this alleges that Goodell on 4 separate occasions provided leaks. And Goodell has always denied that he and the league office have never had a role in this. This says, oh, no. Goodell was behind this too. That apparently these emails were known about for 6 months. That D. Smith was the one, the head of the NFLPA. He was the one that leaked the racist email. And by racist email, it was the email that makes John Gruden look as if he may be racist. And that also Snyder, who was undergoing his own toxic environment and was wanting to get everybody off his scent, that, because remember, the emails from Gruden went to who? A Snyder employee. And so he had access to them. And so that he was also leaking emails. But that these emails, apparently people knew about these emails in the summer. and nobody leaked anything. Nobody said anything. Nobody did anything. All of a sudden in October, John Gruden's, all this stuff is coming out and John Gruden's got to go. And apparently there is a firsthand from Mark Davis, either that or the guy who was in the room with Mark Davis when Davis got the call from Goodell in the NFL, in which the NFL was basically saying, you got to fire him. And Davis had no intention of firing him. It's good stuff. It really is. I know, journalism, the media, blah, blah, blah. I'm just telling you, you got 10 minutes. You're interested. Also, by the way, it reveals you'll learn more about John Gruden, I think, in this story than we've known about him in 30 years. Honestly, there's personal stuff in here about Gruden. We know the caricature of Gruden and the getting up at 4, whatever he gets up at every day, and, how crazy he is and 4 hours sleep, etc. I mean, I love this guy. But apparently, you're actually going to learn a little bit about, maybe who the wife and the kids know. So you got 10 minutes. I mean, come on, there's no sports tonight, right? I mean, is there
you really want to spend that much time with your family? You can sit there on your phone and act like you're spending time with your family.
I mean, Wimbledon's over by late in the afternoon. I mean, is there a soccer match tonight?
Yes.
Okay, there's Gold
U.S.
Cup.
Panama.
Yeah, we're our second stringers against their first stringers, I guess. I don't know. But 10 minutes. Read The Athletic about the A's mayor or Oakland's mayor meeting with Manfred, and then this ESPN.com story. This is real journalism. It's 2 years worth of information you're holding on to eventually press send.
In fact, it's so good, the New York Times may take some of the Athletic story and put them in there.
Look at you.
In case you missed it, the New York Times dumped their sports department.
Right. They didn't fire anybody, though. They reassigned them, so they're doing news. But they're going to take stories from The Athletic and put it in their paper if they're worthwhile, if they're any good. I love the fact they said that. They all but said out loud, well, I mean, if they're decent, if they're any good, I guess we'll put them in the paper. Oh, okay.
But the Commanders story tied in with Gruden is going to be a big one for the rest of the day. We'll react more to it on the other side. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, but Art, she's not a popular owner. Also, right now, and he has been for years, the other owners, he has collected, money from the other owners because he has not spent on payroll. So I don't know how many friends, if you listen to those in the sport, he doesn't have many allies.
Who's that?
The
Davis?
A's owner.
Oh, the A's owner. Okay. Four owners believe Goodell was personally involved. That's
Yeah. And I just have been looking up. Remember, it was reported a couple of months ago, Goodell, about to sign an extension. There's no word that he signed it. His contract actually expires middle of next year, and it was going to be a 3-year extension. I'm wondering, would this impact the extension? Because I got to admit, if I'm an owner, even if I don't have a dog in this fight, I'm not happy that the commissioner could just decide he's mad at me or disapprove of me and start leaking information about me. I might want a new commissioner. Because I don't have to like the guy, but I got to be able to trust him.
Yeah, did you see that the second league of soccer has started a relegation system as well? The USL, that second tier league, is talking about a whole promotion relegation thing.
Huh.
Read that last night too. Not that, it's anything for this. I just thought it was interesting because it's still not MLS, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, and the other thing I was thinking, since we got nothing tomorrow, Sean Salisbury put a tweet out yesterday that he's starting some new app regarding football.
Okay.
And I didn't know if he might be somebody that might want to come promote that. And
okay,
he likes us. And
Here we go.
It's the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, along with some final thoughts coming up. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I've seen your head down the entire commercial break. Are you reading?
I am.
Interesting?
Very much so. And by the way, this Snyder article is ESPN.com. It's not Plus. It's not Athletic. It's a freebie. There aren't many of those anymore when it comes to an in-depth article or an in-depth show that you get to watch for free.
That is true. That is true. Valid point there. Yep. I'm just going to throw this out there. And I spent the commercial break looking up, because there was reports 2 months ago that Goodell was nearing an extension. His contract's technically up mid-season next year, I think, or middle of the year next year. But he was going to sign a 3-year extension. I don't believe he signed it. Now, I think it's a huge leap to think that this story is going to have the owners pull the contract extension offer back from Goodell. But I'm just going to throw this out there, Mark. You're Goodell. I'm an owner. And we all know the gig, okay? We pay you what we pay you. You take the heat. But I don't have to like you. But I have to be able to trust you. Okay, I cannot think that you play favorites. It's one thing that Jera and Kraft have the influence with you that they have. That's one thing. That certain guys you're buddies with. But you know what I mean. I can't think that you could wake up one day and be mad at me and turn against me to the other owners or start leaking out information about me because you've decided you hate me. Yeah, I don't care. You're the commissioner. You work for me. Suck it up and deal. And so if I was one of the other owners, this story would concern me. So apparently when he gets fed up with you, he's going to leak stuff. How much stuff do you think comes across his desk?
Yeah, all of the things you said, the only thing I don't agree with is that I don't think the other owners care if Goodell likes him or hates him. But the leaking part, to your point, it doesn't matter whether you get along with someone or not. And Goodell could hate half the owners in the league. The moment he starts leaking information out about them, that's David, I could see this being the end of his job. And I'm not being flippant when I say that. If I were an owner, right now, I don't know if I would want him to move forward as the guy leading me.
Well, and the funny thing is, Jerry has not wanted him to be the commissioner for a while now. And basically, Kraft and others have told him, sit down.
Think about how much dirt he has on Jera.
Yeah, well, yes. So, that 3-year extension is not signed. I have found no evidence of it being signed. Apparently, it's been drawn up. Basically, everything's been agreed to. Put it this way, there are a lot more details in the Goodell contract extension that there is in the PGA Tour LIV Alliance. But neither one have been signed. If I was one of the 31 owners there, because the Packers are owned by, whatever, I would have real problems going forward with this guy. So this guy finds some information out about me and he wants to turn on me and he can leak this? Really?
Or on my coach?
Yeah.
Or my GM?
Right.
Emphasis on my?
I mean, listen, Mark Davis doesn't have a lot of allies, but he's got Jerry Jones on this one. If Mark Davis and Jerry call one another up and go, well, we're two. I mean, because they only need 8, I think, to block the extension. I think it's like everything else. I think it's a 3/4 vote. I mean, they need 6, 7 more no's. You don't think they could find 6 or 7 more owners that are concerned about this? You don't think there's a couple of owners out there that think they've been wronged by Goodell? I mean, I'd be shocked if you couldn't get the Saints to vote along with it.
You beat me to it, David. I mean, that's 3 without us even batting an eye right now.
So we need, what, 5 or 6 more? I mean, I think we can get them by noon. And we don't have any of their phone numbers. I think
Ross
we
has
can get them
been
by noon.
suspended by the commissioner. How much longer would Ross be willing to stick up for a commissioner? I mean, that's 4.
Right. Right.
And we're just fooling around here. Jarrett hasn't sent that group text to the owners that he really trusts yet.
You never know the mood Jim Irsay's in. It all depends on the time of day and the medication he's taking. I mean, so that could be a vote. I said that out loud, by the way.
I know you did.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Thank you.
It's pretty
I
good.
mean, it is good material. I don't know if you're allowed to use it anymore, but sometimes it's just too good. Come on, there's got to be somebody screwed over about, hosting a Super Bowl or something. Like, the Niners are thrilled with them right now. The Maras and the Rooneys, they'll vote for. Although, I don't know. Have they ever had a commissioner they couldn't trust before?
Yeah, publicly, some of these owners may never say a word. Privately, they may not like this.
I'm just wondering if this story has legs.
I mean, do you really think the Rooneys and the Maras, David, like there to be leaks coming from the NFL office?
Hell no. Hell no. This is the mob. We keep everything in-house.
You're damn right.
If we want it to get out, it's because we've agreed to let it get out. And by the way, Raj, you're the guy that takes the public flaggings. That's why we can continue to soak our fan bases and our communities up for all the money that we're soaking them for. You get booed, we get cheered. Got it?
So
I'm just wondering, will this have legs? And the one thing to pay attention to, later today, tomorrow, if you read or hear anything about the Goodell contract extension, if I was Raj, I would have wanted it signed yesterday. And maybe it is, and it hasn't been released. Who knows? But that's usually something that Goodell and the league office would want to get out. I mean, they had no problem talking about it in April and May when it was being negotiated. But there hasn't been anything on it in 7 weeks.
So do yourself a favor, go to ESPN.com, read up on the Gruden email story, because you're going to have at least 10 minutes at work that you're going to want to blow off.
It's probably a good thing the NFLPA has a new executive director also. And the other thing that I'm wondering here is that Rock Nation has a $25 million annual contract with the NFL. Well, Rock Nation leaked emails too. I'm just wondering if this story is going to have tentacles here. I can't imagine a $20 billion industry with billionaire owners are happy with coordinated leaks when there were supposed to be none. And one day it could be them, the victim of the leaks.
And that's the whole story right there. I mean, that's how you advance this. If you're one of the other owners, are you comfortable with the commissioner and his associates having vendettas on people in the league? Because that's what it looks like. That it was a coordinated and calculated vendetta against Gruden to get him out. And just for you-know-what and giggles, and ended up getting Snyder out on the back door.
And to show, I mean, we all know how powerful they are. But if you read this story, what appears to be a theme is that if Snyder had kept his mouth shut and had not leaked, and they are convinced that he did, even though that organization has continuously denied it, that he was, quote, in the clear in the fall of 2021. If he had just left well enough alone, he'd still be the owner.
And he couldn't do it. And in taking down Gruden, took down himself. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when and what's on tap. It's how we finish things off right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What's the app, Salisbury?
Hang on.
No, not the name. Just what is it about?
It's a football app. Hang on. Let me just. The Pro Sports Fans app. Sean retweeted it on the 29th. I'm honored to be president of this phenomenal app. Football season almost here, and we're in the process of putting together broadcast teams in every NFL city. We will cover the season wall to wall. The technology for our talent, fans, and investors and the sponsors is next level. Get this app. Reach out to me. Let's discuss. Might be able to reach out to him and do some work for him on Monday nights and get some cash too, David.
It's a fan app?
Pro Sports Fans, it's called. I'm downloading the app as we speak. David, Ron Guidry retired today. Did he retire midseason? I do not remember. I mean, I know he retired midseason. Did he pitch through the season, or did he not play and then announce his retirement? I don't remember.
I don't either. Did he retire in 89?
Yes.
Yeah, he his last appearance was at the end of the 88 season.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Hey, I just saw a list. I know you're going to get to all your stuff here, but you know, with nothing going on tonight, we don't have nearly as much to talk about at the end of the show as we normally do. But I just saw a list. Top 10 selling NFL jerseys in June. Jalen Hurts is number 1. Aaron Rodgers of the Jets, number 2.
Makes sense.
Tom Brady, 8th. Yes, that's right. A Tom Brady Bucks jersey is the 8th best-selling jersey in June of 2023 when he retired in January or July, excuse me, of 2023. Tom Brady's selling more jerseys than Bryce Young of the Panthers and Christian McCaffrey of the Niners. Never mind 1,700 other guys in the league. Only Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, Micah Parsons, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Justin Fields are selling more jerseys than Tom Brady.
When you got it, you got it. Maybe it's that whole Kardashian thing.
You know, apparently they briefly talked twice that was just a whole bunch of garbage. But, you know, I mean, how many people say no to either? You know, they're both divorced. They both have kids. I mean, you know, they've got things they could talk about.
I'm sure they do.
Well, you know, you need an icebreaker, Mark. At least that's what I'm told. I don't know. I haven't tried to pick up a woman in 30 years.
When you're that good looking and successful, do you really need an icebreaker?
Well, no, it's true. I mean, you could be like Velcro. You could just stand there and see who the first person to come and stick to you is.
Thank you.
But
thank you.
I don't know, just from, you know, the house to the car, maybe, if you need something to talk about. So how are the kids? How are things with your ex? Mine?
It's one way to look at it, David.
Well, there's not a lot of secrets. I mean, you know, when you're a public figure like that, I mean, everybody feels like they know you.
Who knew this conversation would lead to a week of stories in the Post?
Right. I mean, honey, I'm interested in you. I'm just curious, which one of us do you think's better looking?
Can we both agree that it's me?
I missed you so.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Start today in 1901. Cy Young would win his 300th game. He'd win 211 more after that. 1930, Bobby Jones wins his 4th U.S. Open, 3rd consecutive major. 1931, in our insignificant baseball stat of the day, at Sportsman Park in St. Louis, holds 35,000. They jam in 45,715 for a double dip. It causes a record in ground rule doubles. 11 in the first game, 21 in the second game of the doubleheader for 32 total ground rule doubles.
So what, they allow people on the field?
Close enough.
Well, guys, for the second game, the fences have been moved 15 feet in. Basically, if you hit one into the crowd, it's a homer.
Today in 1949, baseball owners agree to erect warning paths before each fence.
Think about that. You were running full speed and you didn't have a warning track. Yikes.
1954, the Major League Baseball Players Association is founded. Today in 62, at the Marquee Club in London, the Stones give their first ever performance. 1969, Tony Jacklin wins the first of his two majors, beating Bob Charles to win the British Open, the first Briton to win it since 51 at that time. A year later, Jack would win at St. Andrews, second of his three Opens. Today in 75 at Carnoustie, Tom Watson wins an 18-hole playoff for the first of his 8 majors and first of his 5 Open championships. Today in 1976, David, big day in television. The Family Feud debuts on ABC, hosted by Richard Dawson. He would kiss women for the next several years on television.
You know, can they even show, because, you know, the old game shows are on, not just Game Show Network, they're on elsewhere. Can you even show the Richard Dawson Family Feuds? Because, you know, he didn't start out sexually harassing the women, but he got more comfortable over time. And by like his last 2 years hosting the show, I mean, he was all hands and kissing.
Kissing.
Yeah.
I mean, it would, outside of using tongue, he did damn near everything else on that show.
I know. And I mean, right in front of the husband.
Oh,
He
yeah.
kissed the wife right on the lips.
And it was a come here, baby, give me a peck type of.
Yeah. And then
pulling him right in.
Sometimes went back for seconds. Unbelievable.
The end of disco was today in 1979.
Yeah!
Disco died between a doubleheader between the White Sox and the Tigers, causing the White Sox to forfeit the second game of the doubleheader. Disco demolition night.
Look it up, Felipe. Look it up.
Today in 84, Geraldine Ferraro becomes the first U.S. female major party vice presidential candidate after Walter Mondale selects her as her Democratic Party running mate.
And we've only had, 2 others nominated since?
Ron Guidry retired today in 89. Kirby Puckett retired today in 96.
Oh, man, I was working in that part of the world. That was sad. He had surgery the day before. They announced that there was going to be a press conference to update us on the surgery. He flew in and he gets off the plane, Mark, and his left, I think it was his left eye, it was completely bandaged. And you just knew. He woke up at spring training in Fort Myers one morning. He couldn't see.
98, Zidane scores twice as France beats Brazil 3-0 to win their first World Cup. 2015, Joker gets his third Wimbledon crown, beating Federer in 4. Henry David Thoreau, George Eastman, Milton Berle, Christine McVie, and Paul Silas, all born today. I don't know if we can say his name anymore, but I'm going to do it anyhow. Bill Cosby's 86.
Well, he used to be funny.
Richard Simmons is 75. He used to be fat.
Well, also, he used to be in the public eye. We haven't really seen Richard Simmons in 10 years.
Rick Hendricks, 74. Cheryl Ladd is 72.
Oh, only poster I've ever had on the wall.
Boxer Julio Cesar Chavez is 61. Christy Yamaguchi is 52. And Brock Lesnar is 46 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Not a damn thing, Mark. Not a damn thing.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Boston, where on February 14th, 1904, somebody checked out James Clerk Maxwell's An Elementary Treatise on Electricity from the New Bedford Free Public Library. 119 years later, a librarian in West Virginia found the book as the curator of rare books at the West Virginia University Libraries through donations, and the book will make it back to the New Bedford Free Public Library. Don't know what the fine was. We go to Larchwood, Iowa for the bad, where Lane Showers went to a wedding at the Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, and then was driving home and apparently was drunk, because at 4:25 in the morning, he got arrested, asleep on the roadway at the intersection of Highway 9 and Birch Avenue. Somehow made his way out of the car and used the roadway to take a little nap. Finally, the ugly, we go to New Jersey, where a New Jersey couple stole $91,000 from the Old Bridge Soccer League to fund their splurges, including a trip to Disney World.
Unreal.
A 6-month investigation revealed that the family took the money just to get them their own gifts. They've since moved, and they were charged with fraud and theft. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, July the 12th, 2023.
We don't spend a lot of time on this because, well, it takes a lot of knowledge to get into the nitty-gritty of it, and we just don't pay that close attention. But FGCU baseball and FSW baseball each had 3 guys drafted in the baseball draft that came and went here over the last 3 days. So hats off to them.
Didn't the Varro kid get drafted as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thought there was one other high school kid from Southwest Florida who got drafted straight out of high school. So, good day for the 239 in essence, or good 2-3 days anyway. Took them to complete the draft, but it's only a 20-round draft. It used to be 40. So it's a lot harder to get drafted.
I think 20 rounds is enough for any draft.
Well, remember, they eliminated those minor league teams, so there's less places for those guys to go. So Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred was open about it. He's like, listen, the odds of you making the majors are pretty slim. Okay, so we don't need to have 40, 50 rounds. It's ridiculous. We'll cut this in half, and we don't need to have all these rookie league A-ball teams either. Okay, if you're good enough, we can tell and send you to Double-A, and the most of the rest of you, you're just, well, trying not to enter the real world. And we're going to help push you along.
And besides, it's a lot cheaper for us to take foreign players and stuff them in those leagues and pay them even less than we pay an American player.
Exactly. And screw the local economies and your attachment to your minor league baseball team. We don't care about that at all. I got your New York Penn League right here. So what that Babe Ruth played at this stadium? What do we care about that?
We're only
Major League
wrapped
baseball
around our history more than any other sport on the planet.
So worth mentioning there. It had been 4 years, I think, since an FGCU player had been drafted. They had a really
we
good
got some
team.
We got some Wimbledon this morning. We got some soccer tonight, and that's about it, right?
Madison Keys already get beat.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's it. No American women are left, and we got Chris Eubanks taking on the 3 seed. Medvedev. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, who knows? Win a couple more matches, he can lose to Joker in the final.
That's really all it is. Who's going to lose to Joker in the final?
Hey, in '83 at Wimbledon, we all knew McEnroe was going to win. It was just a matter of who he was going to beat in the final. It turned out to be some guy named Chris Lewis. Nobody knows who the hell Chris Lewis is. Okay? It's the only thing he's known for.
You just went Chris Lewis.
Yep.
That is one of the best pulls. Even if it wasn't Chris Lewis that he played, there's no one on the planet that could dispute that.
Lewis with a big upset in the semis. He took out Kevin Kirwan. People thought that a big serve and volleyer would face McEnroe in the finals. Instead, it was an all-court player, and McEnroe destroyed him.
As Hop said, is that Huey's little brother? And I might be.
I thought he was from Australia. I don't think so. Don't quote me on that one, though. That one I'm not sure on. I'm sure on Chris Lewis, though. I know who he beat. He beat Borg, Chris Lewis, and Connors. Lost to Borg and Connors. I know McEnroe at Wimbledon pretty well in the finals.
You cannot be serious right now.
Oh, that's when we paid attention to tennis.
If you missed any of the show today, go to all the usual places to download the podcast. Pretty solid show, if we do say ourselves. Adam Rittenberg to talk about the Northwestern situation, Pat Kirwan to talk all things NFL and the Northwestern situation for that matter, and Seth Everett in his usual spot on a Wednesday.
And this is where normally we would promote tomorrow's show, but I can tell you on good authority, we have nothing lined up as of now. Zip, zilch, nada.
Thank you, Sergeant Schultz.
But I'll be in the studio next to you. Maddie's going to have to put up with me for the next two shows.
No, she's off the next two shows. She's out, you're in. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in South